This program features live coverage on African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very exciting start to our sunrise safari. As you can see, we're driving, which means that we are trying to find something very, very quickly and hoping that we can. It's a hope that we will be looking for mating leopards, which is always very, very interesting. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got Sebastian this morning, and it is a very warm welcome. It means that we are coming to you out of Africa live, and so that's when you can interact with us, and you can do that via hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat. And remember to try and keep everything relevant and to try and ask the questions based on what you see on the screen. Now, this is the last tracks that I had for these mating leopards, was in this area. It also looks like Hosanna's tracks were around. Now, I'll try and find the tracks so I can show you what I'm talking about. But the last time I kind of saw them moving about was right over there. You can actually see where they were lying down. So you see on the edge of the road there's about a smudge that is there. So that is the last tracks of where these two leopards were, and I'm pretty sure that's where they mated. And so from there, now I've got to try and figure out which way that they went. I think they might have gone down towards the Milwaukee, and it's probably a good idea just to sit a little bit and listen. The nice thing about mating leopards or mating cats is that the frequency of their mating is pretty quick, and so they do it often and regularly, and it's very noisy affair, so lots of growling and grumbling, and so that should help us to be able to find these guys fairly quickly. Who they are, I have no idea. I surmise that Tingana must be involved in this, given how quiet he's been since we last saw him bumping into that male lion. And the female, well, it could very well be that skittish female once again. It's about the right time frame for her to be coming into estrus. Otherwise, if it's not her, well, it's anyone's guess as to who this could be. It could be Kachava, it could be, well, Tandi, it could be any of them, really. So we're going to try and have a little look around, see what we can find, see if we can scratch out where these two have gone. But it's going to be a bit tricky because, like I said, the light is not very good this morning. It's overcast, kind of dingy light, and that always makes life a lot harder to be able to kind of find things. Now, I believe that I'm going to send you somewhere. I think it's to Taylor, and I think that she has a lapwing.
Wow. Hello. Goodness, wasting no time this morning. Good morning, everybody. I was just about to say to David, let's try and get a nice position of the elephants. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is David, who is also taken by surprise this morning. Emma's on form. Look at them. This is so cool. Hi, Elise. This is actually amazing. Now, we were looking for lions, but the lions, well, we haven't really found any evidence of them other than like very old footage, which is not ideal. And old footage? Davy and I were talking about photos and videos. So now I've gone and said footage. I don't mean footage. I mean old tracks is actually what I was trying to say. But I can't stress to you how big this herd actually is. So we just drove Aubrey's Road, and I think from about just over halfway up, my goodness, you should have seen all the elephants that are in the thicket down below them. Well, we can't get to them, unfortunately, because there are no roads. But thankfully, these guys are all here out in the open, which kind of helps us, which kind of makes it quite nice. And that is just beautiful. Let's see how many of you are good at taking screenshots and can get that elephant as she completely submerges herself in that mud, because it's quite cool. Don't you think? As Tristan said, you all know how to answer questions now. You guys should be experts, so I'm not even going to tell you. But we're going to watch this because it's really, really cool. Oh, that's a bit loud. Aqua, I mean, yeah, thank you. I suppose is how it's, the Ellie's just arrived where I happen to be at just right place at the right time, which is typically how safaris go, as most of you know. You know, it's a lot of luck, a little bit of skill, and then just timing, which I think is the hardest thing to try and get right. So she's actually digging for a root there too. Very, very busy. But the way that they split up in comparison to lion pride, sometimes lion prides don't split up intentionally. They, you know, something will happen like what's happened with Nkumas. The evokers came through and everybody went running in all opposite directions. and now they haven't, sounds like they still haven't found one another just yet, but they will regroup eventually. Now, what happens with elephant herds is like when you see these super groups in the dry seasons where you'll see like 200 or 300 elephants, and we see it in the Mara, so Steve can show it to you in the marsh, and we've all spoken about it quite a bit, is most of the time those massive herds are not just one family group. It's like 5 or 6 or 10 different groups of elephants that are all just feeding or traveling together because they're after the same resources. They're all looking for, look at it going down, that's incredible. They're all looking for a greener grass and any greener vegetation to feed on. And then, of course, they're also looking for water. And because these elephants all have these trade secrets, it kind of works best to work together. And they share them with one another. So, yes, they do split up. And then sometimes people think herds split up. And this is where people can find themselves in a bit of trouble. Something else I'll often discuss is in satellite parties. So you'll have the main group of elephants. And then there'll be a small group that's not quite keeping up with the rest of the herd. Maybe there's a young calf. Maybe it's just an older cow and she's taking a bit longer. And they might fall a couple of 100 meters behind the herd. But essentially, they're still with the herd. And then that's when you get stuck in between them on foot, is when you can get in a bit of trouble. Because you might think, oh, the whole herd has moved through. But then there'll be a mom and her 2 offspring, just tailing behind. And you don't want to get stuck in a position like that, because that is when accidents happen. And you can find yourself in a bit of trouble. I'm going to literally try the next set of Ellies. Let's see if we can roll down. I reckon I was wondering if that elephant actually also hadn't been watching me as he's been working out, because I've been working on my handstands. But I'm just going to roll forward. No, this actually worked out quite well. Yes, Emma, I've been doing lots of handstands. I'm very impressed with how long I can actually stand up and not wobble around now. I'm impressed. There's definitely been an improvement. Anyways, why I'm excited is because I didn't have to start the car. So now you can see how I can really just roll into the sighting very quietly. And I'll just pull off the side of the road. Hello, girl. I do apologize. The allergies are crazy today. And I think it is also since I've arrived in the sighting and all the dust has been kicked around. So I apologize if I have the sniffles. There we go. Mom and calf. Oh, they're just feeding happily. Linda girl, you know what, these animals, and in particular the elephants, are quite lucky because they have a varied diet, and they also have tools that other animals don't have. For example, tusks, and they're exceptionally strong. So, they're able to dig and feed on the bulbs and roots under the ground. They can also utilize the bark off of trees, which, say, most of the antelope can't. They'll strip the bark off of the trees too, and then they can reach to the very, very tops of the trees with those long trunks. So for them, yes, it does become difficult because elephants need to eat a whole lot, and they definitely don't eat as much as they're supposed to, as they're required to during the winter months, but they'll survive. It is particularly dry at the moment. I mean, the grass I don't think has got any nutrients whatsoever in them, and that's why we'll see the eddies sort of feeding and pushing down all the shrubs. But yeah, they'll be okay. They're used to it. This happens every single year. It's nothing new. So for their entire lives, the elephants living in the Greater Kruger National Park, or even going up into Mozambique and going to Botswana or Zimbabwe, the same thing happens. It's dry season now, and then typically the end of October, November, the rain comes. And in some areas, it's more extreme. And actually, if you go up to Zambia, the rain that falls in a rainy season is a whole lot more than we get here. And some areas can even flood. And that's sweet. Little one going in to try and steal what Mom's been working hard at. And the little one's just like, can you get out of the way? I'm going to show you how to do it now. Very sweet. Very gentle, very, very gentle. Wonderful. Now, exciting news that there is a mating pair of leopards on the property. I wonder who it could be, and if anyone's going to find them, it's going to be Tristan.
Well, we hope so, Taylor. At this stage, we've lost the tracks altogether, so we're just trying to check where I think they would go. I mean, I surmise that it's Tingana more than anything else. And so I'm just trying to check his kind of usual areas that he likes to walk, because I'm pretty sure he's the one dragging this female around. He was seen last night very far from here on Buffelshoek Hook, and so that makes me think that he's with that female from Buffelshoek Hook and not kind of any of our females from this side. If he came up from that side and apparently was left mobile north in Buffelshoek Hook, I think he must have come out with her and kind of moved, and that's why his general direction was kind of southeast, which is a typical sort of patrol for Tingana. So, you know, we're just going to scratch around. I've checked the Mulwati now, stopped and listened for a little bit, trying to hear if I can hear them mating. All I could hear was francolins making a blooming racket. They were making a lot of noise, so it wasn't them. So I'm just trying to see where they might have gone. They might have gone towards Vulture's Nest central area. The problem is that, you know, we're a little bit behind them, so they were seen around 4 o'clock on the dam cam, which means that they theoretically should kind of, you know, not too far, especially if they're mating a lot, that it should have slowed them down a little bit and slowed Tingana's rate of walking down, but you never know. Now Aubrey's trying to call me. Go ahead, Orbs. So he's going to speak to Tax first, which is fine. I can listen to him. Let's see. So I'm pretty sure, I wonder if those leopards are not right there where we saw those last tracks. Those last tracks look very fresh, and given she might be a bit skittish, she might have heard the car coming and moved off, and he's just kind of followed her. So our only bet really is, if it is her, is to either hear them and find then Tingana and sit dead still and wait for her to come out, or, you know, we're going to get lucky and just bump them kind of running across the road or something like that. But if he's following her and trying to kind of keep up with her, we might have a tricky time actually finding them. I'm just hoping that, given Tingana's kind of propensity to just amble about and be sort of the slow moving duke, I'm hoping that that's how we kind of catch up with them, is that we find him and she's just kind of tagging along at this point. Okay, I don't know why leopards move so much. Part of it is because often the male still wants to cover ground and he still wants to be able to scent mark and those kind of things, and the female just latches on and just follows him. And we know males, when they're moving about, do move big distances and long distances. So it could be that, could be a part of it. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Lions also typically move a little bit, but not nearly as much as what a leopard does when it mates. A leopard's just constantly on the move when they're mating. I don't know if they get irritated with the company of each other, and that's why they kind of just get up and walk all the time. But it is intriguing to watch the kind of behavior of leopards, and when they're mating, they seem to be a lot different to a lot of other animals. I wonder actually if he hasn't gone up towards Buffelshoek Dam. It's very possible, I suppose. Could have gone up that way. So what I'm going to do is I just want to check Nyala Road now, make sure they haven't gone further east. If there's nothing here, then we might shoot up Nyala Road north to Buffelshoek Dam and then come round onto Hyena Road and see if they're not up that side. But it would be an unusual route for Tingana to go Hyena Road. I don't think I've ever seen him on a Hyena Road. He normally does central straight up and then goes up maybe Nyala Road north, or cuts over through the block or the drainage line to get up there. So I'll be surprised if he comes from Hyena Road, but you never know what love can do. David, not really. I mean, Tingana generally used to roam up into those areas anyway, so he was a leopard that did go into Buffelshoek, and where he was, Freystart Clearing, is pretty much where he's been seen many times before. So there is a slight overlap between him, Gijima, and Quarantine in a certain little part of Buffelshoek, and so the three of them kind of just overlap there slightly. I mean, it's not a big area, but it's not unusual for him to go there, so I don't think he's pushing Gijima. But I know a lot. Actually, Michael, you were asking also about Gijima recently and whether or not I have heard anything. I haven't heard anything about him, but you know, he's a leopard that sometimes it goes months without us hearing anything, and then he just shows up at a carcass somewhere, and that's, you know, everybody kind of talks about him again. So no real updates on Gijima. And Tingana, well, Tingana's just doing his normal kind of walking about, and I'm sure his vocalizing and scent marking probably attracted this female to come in and find him. So There's still no sign of any tracks coming this way at all. Oof, proud cat mama, it depends. I mean, they sometimes can be mating every 5 minutes for 24 hours, which I don't know how many that is, but it's a lot. There's some buffalo that we've got over there, which I'm not going to stop for just yet. I mean, we know where they are, so we can always come back to them, but I'll just show you briefly where they are. So it's a little herd of buffalo that's just sleeping inside there, and they look fairly relaxed, so it doesn't look like leopards have come past them anytime soon. There you go, you can just see their horns kind of sticking out through the thickets at the moment. So it seems like a nice sized herd. It's the same herd I'm pretty sure that we were looking for yesterday evening, and they were coming in the right direction because they must have come south, and they must have just been in the block when we were kind of looking for them. But there they are, all static. Right, now I'm going to try and see what else is going on and see what else I can find. So while I do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's caught up with a baby Ellie.
We've now repositioned slightly, and we have got a cute little elephant calf who is struggling a whole lot at the moment with that bush willow stump. Was that not as easy as you thought it was going to be, little elephant? Off it goes, running straight back to Mom now. Bye-bye. I thought you were going to be a whole lot braver. Apparently not. Mom walked away and was like, I'm done with that stump, you can have it. And unfortunately, the little calf couldn't really do much with it. But we've got a whole lot of elephants. We're basically surrounded by them at the moment. Most of them, well, they're moving on to Djuma, which is quite nice. So hopefully they visit Vuyatela Pan, or maybe Gallagher. But I hope that they go to Vuyatela Pan so that you can all watch on the dam cam. But they'll probably be there a little bit later. Although I suppose it's only the start of drive and elephants can move fairly quickly. But there's the rest of them. And the light is nice now. It's starting to change. It's warming up slightly. It was a bit miserable a bit earlier. It was very overcast, very gloomy. But the sun's finally starting to poke through, which is beautiful on these ellies. Look at that cow walking on in. So yeah, she's just moved that other elephant out of the way and said, right, I'm going to feed you now. You can go somewhere else, thank you. Sorry, elephant. There's obviously something there that she likes. I think they're mainly feeding on bush willow roots at the moment. That's the prominent tree species that's around here, from large fruited to russet. Sarah, I've never seen an elephant intentionally eat a bug. So, no, I doubt that they get nutrients from bugs. I don't know if their digestive systems, I don't think we'll be able to digest them very well because, well, a bug's not quite made up of grass or certain types of cellulose and proteins which their bodies will be able to break down. But I'm pretty sure that they do ingest them occasionally. Like, what happens if there's a moth that just doesn't move and it's on a piece of grass or a grasshopper or something along those lines? I also brought up the thing about, do they ever slurp up frogs in their trunks? I want to know answers. I need answers. Can anyone give me answers? Because the amount of times you see elephants drinking, especially in the Mara, in those sort of marshy areas, and there's lots and lots of frogs in there, and tadpoles. How do they not get tadpoles up their trunks? That's what I want to know. If I could speak to animals, that would be the first question that I asked an elephant. Thank you, Emma. I'm glad someone appreciates my creativity because I need to know these things. I mean, like, has anyone ever thought of that before? Or fish? Surely the odd little fish, like a little school of fish, must go around and be like, ooh, what's that thing? As their trunk goes into the water. And then, before you know it, it's like a scene from Nemo, basically, where they're like, no, don't touch the trunk. You know, and they're like, don't touch the butt, but they actually mean the boat. And then, yes, and then they get sucked up. I also think it could be a movie idea. I'm trademarking that. If any of you guys try to copy my idea, be careful. I will find you. No, I'm joking. I won't find you. No, I don't know where to go because, like, these elephants are a little bit far away. Okay, we'll go around again. I think we'll zip around and try to get a closer view of these ellies because they're not coming towards us now. But finally, the Mara is up and running, and of course, Steve has pulled through with some wonderful cats.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to the Mara Triangle. We have found a pride of lions at the bottom of the hill that out in the road have already killed an animal which is almost completely finished, and off they start moving in the hunt. We only found 6 youngsters and 1 adult. 1 adult is in the distance there hunting, and the 6 youngsters, well, completely finished that wildebeest. We think it is the Olololo pride. There are 10 animals missing. So anyway, good morning. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Big James. It is a beautiful 16 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And there we have the lions in the distance. There's a youngster that James is going to frame up for you. And it's probably still hungry. None of them looks too well fed. And it's moving directly towards one of the adults that has already thwarted their attempt to kill a herd. The herd spotted her. She didn't do the most stealthy of movements. We get that one on the left there, James, just still underneath that tree. But the herd is watching her now. We just saw her moving in the distance. I think she was an adult. It's been quite far off to really see. But if it is the Olololo pride, which we assume it to be, there are 10 animals in total that are not accounted for. So where they are, we do not know. Maybe they're on another kill here somewhere nearby. Maybe they have gone around that herd of wildebeest that this female is slowly pushing in a direction. If only we had the drone right now. Sebastian, Rombi, where are you with your drone, sir? It'd be great to have you up here. To be able to see this unfolding from the air would be really quite magical. Because in the long grass, once the lions sort of melt away, well, that's exactly what they do. They melt away. So sorry for our delay. There's been some issue getting the stream up for Mara. We have been out for some time already trying to show you some wonderful sunrises. But we will have to just do with some lions. I'm sure the others have informed you of where to post your questions and comments. #SafariLive. Drop them on the YouTube chat stream. Don't forget to use @FC and keep your questions relevant. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can get into a better position with these lions, and in the meantime, let's go back down to South Africa with Taylor and her elephant.
Well, yes, we have not moved, as you can imagine. Why would you want to when you can have an incredible scene like the one we've got at the moment? So we're back with the first elephants that we saw, or the second elephants we saw, actually. And she's just very kindly still feeding right at the edge of the road, which is perfect for us. And again, just pulling apart the bush willows. She's so strong, she lifts it up with absolute ease. Look at that. It just always amazes me how well they can train those trunks and how accurate they are with them and delicate at the same time. It's pretty epic. But like I said, the light is beautiful. It actually took my breath away there for a second. I like the way you can also hear the branches snapping. Puma, let me find dear Maurice. Here he is. Maurice and his friends. Hey, hi Maurice. Can you get one? Must I go out? Hang on, wait. I've got to change hands. I can't reach. Hang on, I'll get there. I'm also trying to twist and turn to see. That's as good as I can go. Yep, it's a short arm syndrome again. I've got little T-Rex hands. Thanks, Dad. They used to tease my dad when he played cricket. And they would all my dad was a bowler. And they'd all put there to intimidate him they'd put their arms in their shirts and then run down the pitch really quickly and then bowl with little arms. They used to tease my dad all the time. So yes, I don't have very long arms. It's quite annoying. Oh, I'm exhausted now stretching out like that. But there's Maurice. He was also, you see, I think it might be a trait with us. We like to kiss animals' bottoms. Well, not really, but just pretend. And I think that's basically what Maurice was doing. Should we actually try that? I wish he could get his trunk to stay out. It's not quite the same, hey? Oh, Maurice. Oh, there he is. See how big Maurice is in comparison to an elephant. He's huge, and I'm strong because I can carry him with one hand. Just jokes. Okay, bye, Maurice. Bye. There he goes. For those of you who have no idea who that teddy is, he's not just your average teddy. His name is Maurice, or Maurice if you want to be more formal. But he's not formal, even though he is in his Maasai attire. Also, he was given to me for my birthday last year. And he comes on safari with me, right? But it seems as though Steve's lions are up and on the go with all the wildebeest around, and they're hungry.
Yes, well, the one lioness has gone straight at this herd, brazenly straight at them. Not too much cover or stealth at all. And the herd, well, clearly spotted her and has moved off. So I don't know what her intention is. Maybe she knows she's got some fellows nearby waiting to ambush these zebra and wildebeest if they do happen to go the wrong way. Because as I said, there are 10 individuals of this pride unaccounted for. And maybe that would be the reason why her behavior is so brazen and blatant. Is to force them into a stampede. Very interesting nonetheless. Just make out her ears there. Well, they're quite far off, and this is an area we can't go off-road in, but we're going to see if we can maybe get around. There's another road over there. We're going to see if we can get in there, get some better shots for you. So jump on board, folks. This is an awesome way to start the day. Awesome indeed. Let me just change my gears. There we go. So by the state of that wildebeest, it would look like at least 10 individuals ate off it, because they're not really full. There's just a little bit of a paunch on the individuals that we saw, but it didn't go very far. So Mum is out feeding. Ooh, is this a track here? That's not a track. That is a drainage culvert. There's a road up here somewhere, we're hoping. Not an area I've spent too much time. This is the area though that the rhino are in, but we'll hopefully try and get around, get a nice view. Here we go, here's the track, in we go. It was quite incredible last night on the way home with Archie. I had to physically just stop the car twice because the herd of wildebeest, 2 herds of wildebeest were crossing the road in front of us and we just couldn't get through. So we just had to stop, switch off and just watch them come streaming past. Oh, sorry, James. Unbelievable, really, to think of the numbers out here. I know I'm going on and on about it, but I've never in my life seen so many animals. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. We're trying to show them to you on the camera, but it's just not possible really to give you the full perspective of what's going on out here. Okay, well, I think this road is going to be perfect. She's probably going to have decided to sit down now. Obviously frightened all the wildebeest. They're all very well alert. There's more and more zebra here, wildebeest. Okay, fantastic. Well, it sounds like Jamie Patterson has got her walking boots on. Don't know when last she did a bushwalk, but let's go see how excited she is for this one.
Very excited. And the last time I had my walking boots on was May last year. May last year was the last walk I did on Djuma, and it was in fact the last thing I did on Djuma before I left for the Mara. And if I remember correctly, it was with Craig. When we stood on the termite mound and the Ellie came to say hello to us. Yes, it was. A very good morning to all of you. My name is Jamie, and this morning Craig is on camera with me. We apologise for being late. We had a few technical difficulties this morning. But we're going to go and see whether or not we can help Tristan out in his search for those mating leopards. But for now, we're just getting an idea of what they got up to last night. And the first thing that's immediately apparent is they came past a Galagopan before they moved around to, let's find a nice example, before they moved around to where Tristan is. So we're outside the lodge. This is Hossana's favourite place to be. And there we go. We've got the male's tracks here. Now, the first thing that we usually talk about when we talk about leopard tracks, or actually most cat tracks, is you get an idea as to how fast they're walking. This isn't the best place to do it because they would have settled here. But what you see with cat tracks is that they partially register. And that allows them to walk silently. So what I mean by that is here's the front track here. It's hidden, and it's sort of, there's a toe there and a toe there. It's been partially obliterated by the back foot here. The back foot, in all cases, except a cheetah and wildebeest, the back track of an animal is narrower and more elongated than the front track. So the back track falls on top of the front track here. And that basically will tell you, in certain situations, how fast the animal's walking. That only works if the animal's walking down, striding around here, which is what they would have been doing. She might have been flirting with him around here. I'll see if I can find where she did her little dance, if she did her little dance. But essentially, this doesn't you can't really gauge much from this area. But once you watch them walk down a road, if the back track falls on the front track, that's the animal's typical, normal, natural walking speed. If you get a distance between the back track and the front track, so if this back track here actually falls away further forward than the front track, then you know that the animal is striding. They're walking quite fast. Now, there's all sorts of factors that you have to take into consideration. For example, is the animal walking uphill? Is it walking downhill? It's much easier for them to walk quickly if they're walking downhill, essentially. So there you go, a little thing for tracking Thursdays. I know it's on Tuesdays, but there you go. What's immediately struck me, moving on from the leopards, because we know that they're further that way, so we will move quite fast. We've been delayed, unfortunately, is something that I don't think people would have noticed because they haven't, everybody's been here during the sort of the change of season and into the dry season. But what struck me immediately is the colour of the elephant dung. It is completely different to that of the Mara elephants, and it's completely different to the colour that it takes on in summer. And the reason behind that, and the reason it is such a red colour, is because quite simply there is no grass for the elephants to eat. So typically their dung is a sort of a brownish colour, brownish green colour. It's still brown, obviously. I mean, this is a pile of big brown stuff. You can't really go wrong with that description. But look at the reddish tinge. And that's because if we were to dig in the dung, we'll see that they're eating vast amounts of bark. This is all bark. So they're after the cambium layer of, and I think most of you by now, you know this, they're after the cambium layer of the trees, and you'll have seen with marulas there, this is all bark. You'll have seen with the marulas how when they strip them, it comes out a fresh, bright red colour. The cambium layer, of course, is where the way that the plant, or the tree in particular, transports the food up, or food down from its leaves and water up from its roots. And that's why it's taken on such a red colour. It's because that's what the elephants are feeding on at the moment. This is wet, but cold. So it's cold. There's a little bit of residual warmth. You'll notice, of course, for our new viewers, that we often touch dung. We only touch dung. And the key point being that we will only play with herbivore defecation. We do not do this with any sort of predator or even omnivore defecation. So this is dung. Lisi, yes, herbivores will indeed practice osteophagy. So there's a couple of different ways that animals will get the minerals that they need. They get most of what they need from their diet, their normal diet. So a lot of people think they might be short on protein, they might be short on minerals. Their digestive systems are adapted to be able to get the best out of the plants, and elephants will eat tubers or anything like that. So they do get most of what they need. But for most of the animals, I'm trying to see if there's a bone hidden around here. For most of the animals, they will need to practice a little bit of osteophagy. So whilst they might not crunch through bone in the same way a hyena might, they will actually chew on it, and they'll get a little bit of supplemented calcium in their diet. So yes, they will. Elephants very seldom do it. Elephants sort of play with bones often, but you don't see them put it in their mouths all that often. But giraffe, nyala, anything like that will. Warthog actually are a little bit omnivorous. They'll eat meat as well if they can get it. But they will all eat bones. They'll also practice the process known as geophagy. Pretty simple. Phagy is obviously eating. It's connected to diet. And then you've got osteo, bones. Easy. And then you've got geophagy, which is also easy because it basically is the geology of the area. So they'll go to a mineral lick and they'll actually eat the soil. If ideally what they prefer to do is drink water like they do in the salt lick and the Mara, because then the minerals are dissolved and they don't have to eat dirt, essentially. But they will practice by eating dirt. They will eat dirt. Okay. We're going to go see if we can help Tristan out. That means we have to stretch our legs a little bit to catch up as we have been delayed. Let's go and see whether or not Tristan's going to beat us there.
So no luck as yet. The tracks are still going kind of eastwards generally, and so they're just south of Central, kind of coming east. But we came up onto Hyena Road because I just wanted to check if maybe they crossed, and I had a whole bunch of squirrels just alarm calling all of a sudden. But I don't see anything. The problem with squirrels is up from those vantage points in those trees where the sun is rising, is that they can see a lot further than I can. So they might have just seen something moving around in the thicket, but they've gone quiet now, so it's definitely not anything too hectic. If it was something like a leopard still walking, you'd find that they'd shout for quite a lot longer and they would really be upset. So they just kind of briefly started. Maybe they saw each other, two opposite males or something like that. They might have seen each other and had a little go. But it looks like those tracks are heading straight towards where those buffalo are that we saw earlier. But what I want to do is I just wanted to jump ahead towards Buffelshoek Dam in case they turn, given that this female, I'm almost 90% sure it's the same female from Buffelshoek, just given the route that they've come from. I wonder if she's not going to try and drag Tingana back a little bit northwards towards the dam. So that's why I just want to check that side and see. Generally though, when it comes to mating, it's the male that kind of just walks and the female follows. So because female leopards are quite clever when they're mating, is that they'll go to multiple different males. So they'll kind of find all the different dominant males that are around them. Karula is a prime example. She used to travel far afield to go and try and mate with a dominant male. I remember the one time her being pretty much in Singita Londolozi, just mating with Tingana, funnily enough, back when he spent time that side. Which is, I mean, that was kind of two territories of hers over. So she had to go through Shadow, Salehesh, and into Moya's territory to go and try and kind of mate with Tingana. So she moved a long way to get him. And the reason why they do that is they try and get it with as many males as possible, because in the event that one of the males either loses condition, gets killed, gets overthrown, she is then mated with the most likely successors that are in that area, so the other males that are within this sort of structure. And that means that her cubs theoretically should be much safer, because if she mates with all the males and they all think that they're theirs, then they pretty much seem to be more tolerant of those cubs and therefore won't kill them and bring her back into estrus. So it's a clever ploy, and you find older females tend to do it more than the younger ones. Younger females tend to just kind of mate with that male and are often unsuccessful because they have kind of compartmentalized this whole thing, and they then get a change in shift and a new male kind of wanders in, and that then brings about a horrible outcome. I'm afraid it's not ideal, but it does happen. Now, nothing that I can see on Hyena Road. And so we'll go towards Buffelshoek Dam just to double check there. And so while we do that, back across to Steve, who seems to have found his lions in the sea of grass that is the Masai Mara.
Yes, well, we've managed to come all the way around, and well, we found that second lioness, and looking closely at them, there's one on the right. That's the one that we could see before, that was at the back. That's definitely a youngster. And then the one on the left was also, looking at it now closely, all we could see before was it in the golden light. And it is also quite a youngster. And the way it behaved, the way it moved towards that herd of wildebeest and zebra, well, was the very nonchalant sort of behavior of a young, inexperienced lion that just thought, I'll eat you. Lie down and let me eat you. So they're looking off in like directions, looking and listening, which means that there are 7 youngsters with that wildebeest, and then the adults are nowhere to be seen. So we're going to have to do a little bit of a scout around and find out where exactly the adults might have gone, because they've left their juveniles. That is what happens, folks, when you get 9 young males and 4 young females and you need to provide food for them. It becomes very, very difficult to provide food for that number of mouths. So while the youngsters are eating one, you move off, make another kill, and they're trying to figure out where that might be. They're listening very, very deliberately, looking in every direction at anything that moves. They're still hungry, and they wish Mum was nearby to provide them with some food. Because one wildebeest clearly wasn't enough. See that one? What is it spotted there? It's looking at animals, but all the way back up the escarpment. Oh, you can see it's a youngster, and it's also a youngster. Yes, Wisteria, they are laying low. I wish it had tried a little bit harder to lay low before, and said, as I said, it just walked straight at the herd of wildebeest, like, hello, I'm a lion, and you will lie down and let me eat you. Oh, I don't think that's how it works, lion. You need to actually put in some effort. It's obviously seen Mum. Oh, there we go. Look at that, how it'll just disappear in that long grass. Yeah, it does not seem like a good idea, but look at how quickly it can just vanish. Quite incredible. There were 2 lions, and now there is only 1. Well, there was not much to see back at the kill site. There was only a few bits of skin and bone left, with now probably still 5 youngsters there. And it is right on the road, so a little bit of a traffic jam. We were glad to have gotten out of that. Not very good. We will scratch around here, see if we can find the adults. Yes, Romit, it would be. A coalition of 9 males would be absolutely devastating. A pride of lions I used to know very well, the Mountain Pride in the Kruger Park with Singita, had 9 young males that were 3.5 by the time the one was killed, and then there were 8. And I'm not sure what happened to them. I left, but there's no one can push away 8 young males. It's, ooh, where are you going? No one can push away 8 young males. It's just way too strong, which means that even at the age of 3, they're a formidable force. Wait until they reach 4 or 5 years of age. As many years ago now. Look how both lions now have vanished. Vanished into the undergrowth. Maybe there's leftover wildebeest in that little bit. Well, beautiful scenes unfolding. That is the Olololo range in the distance. We have got buffalo this side, an elephant that side, and animals abounding in every direction one chooses to look. Beautiful mountains, beautifully wooded base. Okay, well, while we move around and see if we can find any of these cats, let's go back down to Taylor McCurdy, who's on a mission.
Right, we are just bumbling about currently. We moved off from the elephants, obviously. They just sort of were in the middle and we couldn't get a nice close view, so we decided to leave them in search of lions, which we haven't found just yet. So we're kind of just doing a little bit of a perimeter patrol We're up here in the eastern section of Djuma now, and then we're going to head towards Cheetah Cutline and go all the way to Gowrie Main, and then I think we'll go along Gowrie Main towards Triple M and just see if anything new has crossed in or out. We need to get back into it again. It's always weird when you don't drive for a couple of drives. It feels like you've been, you know, gone for weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh, so I don't know what we'll find up here. Lots of buffalo activity. Have seen some lion tracks, which instances are from yesterday, a set of male tracks. And then that's kind of it. We'll have to do a little bit of birding. Doesn't sound like really anyone is having much luck with the cats this morning, other than Steve and the Mara. But that's normal. You have lions coming out of your ears in the Mara. There's so many of them. Yeah, not so much. Ooh, I forgot. Cull 6, Sand Wars with Tristan. I don't know, I haven't thought of anything. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but no, I thought my best prank was just to fill the footwell up. You know what we're all really excited about is I think Tristan said he hasn't taken the sand out of the car just yet, and I think Tristan was telling you about Brent and how he has to drive a certain vehicle. So we're going to leave the sand in there for him. How great does that sound? I'm going to try and get his reaction as well. Oh, wonderful. Well, we'll ask Tristan what he thinks about that, and the Brent will do to Brent. If we go to him, he's got a hyena who's wallowing in the mud.
There was a hyena in the mud. It's now running off. This hyena is full of beans this morning because something stirred it. We've driven around and it keeps running at full speed kind of behind us and then into the bushes, and seems to be very confused as to where it actually wants to go. So I don't know if there's something here that's kind of gotten it up and going and wanting to move around as quickly as it has, but unfortunately it's now disappeared. But nothing at Buffelshoek Dam. I was hoping that we'd find Tingana perched on this dam wall looking at us ever so regally, but alas, he is not here. Now, interestingly enough, the trucks do turn northwards and they're in the block between Hyena Road and Gowrie Cutline, so our instincts to come this side are the correct ones. It's just now a matter of where they are. I'm just worried that Tingana is going to go back north into Buffelshoek and we're going to miss them. So what I want to do is get back onto the cut line and just drive the cut line. The cut line's nice and big and open, and so I should be able to pick up tracks really easily on that cut line, and that should then indicate what's going on. But the hyena's behavior is very odd. It came running from that side into this block here, and then we went over the dam wall. We lost it inside there. We went over the dam wall. Next thing, it came running behind us again, flying past us into the bush again on our eastern side. We turned around and came back to the dam, and then it came flying past us again. So I don't know what's wrong with that hyena. It's got the crazies this morning and is following us around all over the show. So wisteria, yes, it does look a little on the hungry side. We thought at first maybe there's a kill around, maybe wild dogs or something. That's why it's running around like crazy. But it doesn't have enough blood on it or full enough stomach really to be that. Also, when we stop there now, it's very quiet. If there was wild dogs around and they were feeding and there was hyena interactions, we would have been hearing it quite clear. So I don't see any tracks for dogs or anything like that. So who knows? Maybe he's just in a sort of active mood this morning and just feels like running around like a bit of a hooligan and showing off its speed. So Nancy, the cut line is basically a area which, well, a road that divides two sections. So Buffelshoek to the north, Djuma to the south, and basically that means that it's kind of a divide on a property. So if you own a house, your kind of edging of your boundary would be sort of the cut line, so to speak. In this area, it's just that it's such a long way that's why it's referred to as a cut line, because they had to normally cut a road to be able to demarcate that boundary, and so that's where the name has kind of developed from. But it's essentially the boundary. So we're on the cut line now. This is what the cut line is. It's just a big road, really. It's a nice road though, because it's very clear to see tracks on this road. The tracks would be very visible given how nice and sandy and soft the substrate is. Lots of vehicles that drive up and down here, and that makes it a lot easier to really pick up tracks here. So hopefully we're going to get lucky. Hopefully we're going to find where, you know, these leopards have walked, and it's going to make our lives a little easier in terms of finding them. I don't think we're far behind. I mean, you know, they were seen at 4 o'clock in the morning, but, you know, with mating, maybe they just kind of been held up a little bit. Anyway, it sounds like Jamie and Rex are running to try and help us here, so let's see how their jog is going and whether or not they've caught up with the tracks yet.
We are marching, but we've stopped to enjoy the scenes of the morning because it is such a beautiful morning this morning. We've got some antelope, we've got a pair of Nyala bulls, magnificent Nyala bulls, and we did have a herd of impala, but they've reacted as animals are wont to do when we're on foot, and that is by sprinting away from us. And that was simply because we stopped and looked. If we'd carried on walking past them, they would have stopped and just watched us go past them. Now, antelope are the masters of interpreting body language, and they know the minute that you turn and you focus your attention on them. It's something that they immediately respond to. So, that makes sense. That's why if you watch, they might alarm call at a leopard walking past or a cheetah walking past, but provided they can see it, they're not too bothered. As soon as that animal goes down into a crouch position, immediately it triggers a response from the herd animals, and they'll start to move off as quickly as they possibly can. So they see us as predators. Their instinct... Oh, goodness, I fell over. Their instinct is to respond to our bipedal form, and they move away. But they can also see exactly where our eyes are pointing, just in the same way they would with a predator. I wanted to come see what this was. I know there's a rhino skeleton somewhere in here, but in this case, it looks like a lion death. Oh, I'm going to use my binoculars if I'm not careful. Oh, this is quite cool. This was probably a lower leg, by the looks of things. Most likely, I would guess and say... Actually, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to guess. It's a lower leg. It's quite short. But it gives you a nice idea, just like in human beings. There's the hollow where the animal's bone marrow would be. Now, this bone probably wasn't bitten open. If I look at it now, I'm looking to see if I can see any teeth marks. Now, a hyena like the one that Tristan had could easily have broken through and got to the marrow inside this bone, but I don't think that in this case that's what happened. I think something stepped on it. Or, alternatively, quite possibly a car at some point drove over it. Why can't I fit it together? It doesn't work. There's pieces missing. I think that the hyenas have... No, it doesn't work. I think the hyenas have taken bits of it. There we go. We've got a full, almost full buffalo skeleton here. And there's all sorts of things to be found and to be looked at. So while I do an anatomical examination, although I should be racing to help Tristan, let's go join Steve and see how his morning in the Mara is going.
Thanks, Jamie. Enjoy your bushwalk. Nice to be out on foot. Here we have got a beautiful herd of elephant. Similar herd to the one we saw yesterday. Lots of large females, beautiful tusks. And I had a feeling yesterday something was going to happen with that herd, but we ended up losing them in the sort of drainage. Not sure where they went to. Well, there doesn't seem to be a new addition to this group, if it is indeed the same group. And for some reason, all the wildebeest are deciding to run down the hill. And this will unnerve the elephant. Have a look here, how unnerving the elephants suddenly become. There's something going on. Can't see it. There might be some lions lurking in the long grass. We have moved away. I've got a report that someone maybe saw a lioness towards the Ololola gate. One of the adults. So we're coming to see if we can maybe find her, and on the way we found this beautiful herd of elephant, which yeah, they don't like other animals running around, especially when they got youngsters. There's something that unnerves them. They can get quite sort of uppity about other animals running. I've seen a wildebeest get smashed by an elephant before. Wildebeest was running from a pride of lions, and it ended up in the herd, and the elephants absolutely beat it to a pulp. Slow mellow. Elephant tusks are slowly growing in the head from about a year. You don't really see them, but they slowly start coming out, and from 2 years, 3 years, well, then they're quite evident in the head. But before that, they're just cumbersome because they kind of get in the way of youngster trying to feed off of mum's milk. Having these two protrusions out of your face prevented the youngster from putting the mouth directly to mum's mammary gland. And look at them, aren't they beautiful? They're all in a nice big sort of row. There's a couple of youngsters in there. The world's most beautiful garden service. Here they are going to come onto the road now, one by one, passing between us and another vehicle. I absolutely love it. Cheryl, there's nothing cuter than a baby elephant, especially when it gets a little bit uppity with us and decides to try and run and chase us around. That's always very special to see when they like to come and charge us. There's no real youngsters here. The smallest one's probably about three or four. And there we go. There's probably a 5-6-year-old. You see how the tusk development is not sort of standard. It is slow growing, and genetically different tusks will come from genetic sort of stock. Sammy Jane, most certainly. The Mara elephant's tusks are much cleaner. They don't use them as much up here. Elephants down in the Kruger feed on a lot of vegetation. You heard Jamie commenting on how red that dung was this morning that you saw. Elephants down in the Kruger Park feed almost exclusively on trees and plant vegetation, tree-like bark vegetation in the winter months, and only grass in the summer. Whereas here, well, there's grass all the time. And they probably only use their tusks every now and again to feed on bark when they're feeling certain illnesses. We all know how smart elephants are, and we know that there's a lot of medicinal value in the vegetation. There you can see the difference in size. Oh, we just been photobombed, apologies. Difference in size between the elephant, zebra and wildebeest. Flying high, the tusks are indeed teeth. They're modified in sizes. Sorry, there's a few vehicles joining. We're quite close to the gate, so we will have a bit of traffic. They are modified in sizes, essentially, that are coming out of the mouth. They are still attached to the skull, just like a tooth would be. And that is exactly what they are. They've evolved the evolutionary purpose of being able to rip and attack bark. So, like a porcupine has got these long extended teeth for feeding, for gnawing on bark, well, the elephant evolved a very different style of tusk or incisor to enable it to be able to do a similar sort of job, but obviously a little bit more destructive. Beautiful. Well, doesn't seem to have been any animals chasing these wildebeest. Not sure what got into them, but I have a feeling that there are probably lions lurking in the long grass somewhere over here. We're going to just have to find them. Black Keys, it's really a good question. I mean, some animals will lose their tails due to lions grabbing them and pulling them. Some animals lose their tails due to ticks, just basically eating off the end to a degree. And some of them will lose it due to mange. So it really depends on what happened to them and what is the story and what age. For example, zebra also sometimes lose their tail through fighting. They can actually physically bite the other one's tail off because they probably know, well, if I bite your tail off, you're really going to struggle keeping the flies off your private parts. But a lot of it would also have to do, as I said, with lions trying to catch the animal and the tail being the only thing that they managed to grab. And, well, luckily they've lost their tail and not their lives. So we live to stay and to talk another day. Okay, well, we're going to move because we are in obviously a very high trafficked area. We're close to the gate, so let's move up, see if we can find one of these lioness who are doing the hunting, providing for the youngsters. And again, we'll head down to the mobile McCurdy.
We are mobile and we're really not having any luck this morning. We did have a daycare and then do you see him? Oh, there he goes. Anyways, this daycare was in Twin Dams, in the mud. And then I knocked my bottle over and it made a noise, which was really annoying. Because I think it would have sort of stayed in the mud. I was trying to get some water. Unfortunately, it was having to wade out all the way, but there isn't really any water in there at all. It's a little bit of mud that hasn't dried up yet. Anyways, so I ruined that sighting. Sorry, everybody. Oops, my bad. What an absolute rookie mistake. I can't believe that happened, too. I tried to be so quiet. And then clang, clang, clang. Baker was like, nope, I'm out of here. Okay, so we're going to be doing fire patrol now. There's really nothing around that we can find. What little birdie is that? Can you see it? Is it a little sunbird? Like on the... There we go, it's just flown up. Hello. And it's a sunbird. Now I've been seeing, it's a female sunbird of something. I've been seeing a lot of sunbirds around at the moment. Just hop up a little bit higher. Hopefully the male will be around so that I can tell you which one it is, because majority, I'm not going to watch that one. I'm just going to check the other bouncing birds in the trees. Because most of the females, sunbirds, all are that sort of greyish brown sort of colour. So it's hard to tell who it could actually be. But I have been seeing a lot of white-bellied sunbirds. They've been around. It could be a female one of those. Very plain, a little bit of streaking on the breast. Very, very plain otherwise. They seem to be the ones that are around the most, are the white-bellied sunbirds. But again, it's quite difficult. But there's a couple of ornithologists out there that watch every now and then that are so incredible. So if you know exactly who it is, go for it. Tell us. Let me know. So it sounds like there's a... That's actually really pretty. Kalina, yes, it is a fast bird feeding on a bush willow at the moment. Just trying to get all the nectar from the flowers. I love the way that they can move. They're so quick and so nimble too. Where's the male though? I mean, he might not be here, but I'm hoping they are, because the male sunbirds are so... Oh, was that one? Was that a different colour? It's hard to tell. Maybe. Let's see. They're monogamous, so you normally see them in pairs. No, that's still the female, but incredible camera work there, Darby, on keeping tabs on it. I'm also just still scanning up into the tree, like I said, to try and see if I can spot perhaps a male. And then there's something else that's calling. My goodness, what are you? You're in a palace. Or Cameroptera. Lots of little birds all utilizing this tree. And then also the Balanites tree. Here we go. Who's that? Same one. I think so. Is it? Yeah, it's just dangling off to the side. Sit still, you naughty bird. Yeah, still a female. There's lots of little birds. Anyway, so the tree has also got flowers on it at the moment. So there's actually a whole bunch of birds bouncing around. Is that another one? Oh, my binoculars are broken. Oh, I'm having the best day. Watch it here. There's a couple of them bouncing around. That's so pretty. I can hear all the birds. They're making such beautiful sounds. Oof. You know, I haven't really seen sunbirds feeding on much other than sort of, I suppose, nectar. I'm trying to think, when there's no flowers around, what they would probably be feeding on. I suppose they just go around. Like, you never really see the sunbirds. If there are no flowers around, the sunbirds are not around either. I don't know if you've ever seen that, because it's almost like they are migrants, because they just vanish. Like, we haven't been seeing sunbirds at all, but now they're back. Anyways, off we go to the Mara. We'll try to stick with these things. Steve's got jumping jackal.
Thank you. Oh, hello. is a little bit skittish. We found the carcass where potentially was a lioness, and all there is left there is some meat. Can't really tell exactly how much. And we found 2 jackal on our way back here when we came through, and judging by where this carcass is and where those wildebeest chased the elephant away, it's possible that she crossed the road here and just couldn't help herself. But just there's a time of a plenty that even though they've got meat, lions will still seemingly move off to hunt again. At the moment we're struggling to find her somewhere here in the long grass. If she's here, the jackal were very tentative. They were not willing to go in to the kill. So maybe she's lying flat here and we just can't see. It's possible. Right next to the road. Perfect hunting grounds for these large cats. One of those things. There's a kill. There were jackal. The jackal have now moved off. Where they have gone, who knows? Which means that there must be a lion lying in here. First prize to the person who can spot the lion first. I'm looking very hard. As of yet, nothing. Okay, well, we're going to quickly go back down to Taylor, who's enjoying some sunbirds.
I was, and we're trying to find some more. Wondering maybe it was a female Niconico sunbird. She's still bouncing around up there. I don't know if you can see her in the middle. It might be something else. So yeah, so just going back to their diet, seeing as though we're still watching them. Although now it looks like it's got such a pale breast. Oh man, it's hard to identify these things. Of course it could be the... It could be the white-bellied. It's hard to say. Although I do see a bit of yellow under the wings. Did you guys see that? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's very many that have yellow under the wings like that. Unless it's... Oh, I've never seen an olive sunbird here. I know they've got yellow under the wings. But I don't think they don't occur here. I've never heard of anyone seeing one around here. There's one or two, but I doubt it. This one's got a bit of streaking on the breast, which kind of throws it up. But if there are any keen ornithologists out there, I'm not sure what other sunbirds have a bit of yellow under their wings like that, which is interesting. I'm just sort of scanning through my bird app now. I've just pulled it up while Darby sort of tries to follow it so you guys can all get amazing screen captures. Like I said, majority of the females are fairly dull in color and sort of brown like that. So it's just interesting to see what it is. That's why I was hoping there would be a male here that would obviously help us identify it much easier. Bizarre. Very cool though, either way. Oi Bacon, it is so hoppity, hey? Oh, there's so many little birds here. They're all moving very quickly. So I don't know, I'm trying to think what else the sunbirds would eat. I suppose I think I've maybe seen, but this was down in the Eastern Cape. I've seen, you can hear the Niconico. There they all are, look. And the Balanites tree, the greenwood hoopoes. Doing its display, and there's a couple more just down to the left, Darby. I don't know if they don't fly away. No, now they're flying away. So in the Eastern Cape I used to see the southern double-collared sunbirds, which are very pretty. They kind of look like Niconico sunbirds, and I've seen them eating like little insects, like ants and things like that, and I think the one that they were eating midges, but I'm not exactly sure of the exact diet of a variable... I'm not variable sunbird, sorry, what am I talking about here? We don't get variable sunbirds. Hang on, is that a male up there? There. It's a white-bellied sunbird. See up top? Yeah, somewhere there you'll see him bouncing around. There's a male white-bellied sunbird. So there we go. Awesome. So that kind of solves the mystery. That makes sense. So that was a female white-bellied sunbird. It just threw me off. It was unusual with yellow on the wings. I'm fairly confident in saying that now. I was hoping this was going to happen, but very, very beautiful. Look at that. Look at the blue. Look at the white, bright white belly. And, of course, that sort of metallic green, which is so stunning. And they are quick. They're always on the go. It's just flown up above. There we go, sitting out in the sun quite nicely. So perhaps they do eat a couple of insects here and there. I don't think they'd be eating particularly large insects. You can see their beak is not really well designed to feed on catching insects. That beak is designed to be able to go right down into the flowers and feed on the nectar, even the smallest of small flowers. It's almost like a fine needle. Not quite like a fine needle, but it's really, really small, the tip of that beak. And they're able to lap it up. That's beautiful, though. Man, I love spending time with these little birds. Oh, what's just happened? There's a fight, or is it a display? Look at that. I've never seen that before. A female. It looks like it does look like a little display. They actually locked feet, which was awesome. I've never seen that before. The male's just sitting up on the edge again. It's very hard to follow, guys. I hope you're all saying well done, David, for his incredible camera work this morning. If I'd clap if I wasn't going to scared. Oh, whew, excuse me. There we go. Aqua. There we go. Thank you very much for paying the compliments to David. Thanks. Darby says thanks, Aqua. But that was really quite cool to see. Oh, there's... Okay, sorry, Darby. I know I'm messing you around. But on the right-hand side, can you see the little crombeck? It is... Oh, don't tell me you just flew away like that. It's rude. There was a little long-billed crombeck, but it's now flown off, which is annoying because they're very cute. They're tiny little birds. They're even smaller than the sunbirds. Can you believe that? I reckon the spider hunting wasps in the I'm really struggling to do the talking and the listening of the questions. Let me quickly go. The spider hunting wasps of Kenya are enormous, like unbelievably big. And I reckon they'd give the sunbirds a bit of a run for their money. Even the crombecks. I'm trying to see, there were other little ones bouncing around, but it's hard to find them all. Now it's gone quiet. It was like there was a bird party moving through, but now they all seem to kind of moved off. But interesting behavior from those two sunbirds, the way that they kind of locked talons and well, not talons, they don't have massive talons, but they locked their feet together and then they fell to the floor, and then the brown one was sort of being very submissive with that sort of low, like little wing flapping like this. Well, quite cool. Very nice to see. Right. Let's remember this. I could come and sit here all day, actually. We could get one more view of these green wood hoopoes. Hopefully they don't fly. Put it around. Maybe they think we'll. It's not a great view, unfortunately, because they're all. And of course, as soon as you stop, they fly away. Off they go, down into the next tree. Oh look, we've got a Swainson spurfowl. A Natal spurfowl just here. No, running away too. Why? You guys never run away. Bye. Everyone's terrified of us today, except the sunbirds. Wonderful. Well, we'll keep looking for birds and all sorts of other things to keep us entertained. Let's go see how Jamie's going to keep you entertained.
So we've made our way into the area where Tristan last had tracks, and we've got a bit of a mystery here. So we've got both Djuma trackers, Van and William, as well as Rexon, who's with us on walk. And we are now fanning out to see whether or not we can pick up the tracks, because Tristan's found female tracks crossing into Buffelshoek, but not fresh. Not fresh enough to have been from this morning's sighting on the dam camera. So we're all here, and we're all wandering around, and the difficulty with this is that Tingana's not great on foot. He's very skittish, and apparently we think that the female might be a skittish female from north as well. Trying to follow two skittish leopards on foot is not going to be very productive. I think we've got too many people here at this point for us to be able to do that. What we might do is just stop and listen. Just sort of quieten down all the movement around them and just stop and listen and see if we can hear where they might be. As the trackers are all moving off in this direction. I don't know. I think we're going to frighten them off if we try and push too hard. I think if we sit and listen, mating leopards are not quiet. we should be able to get them if we're in the right area. We're between Gowrie Cutline and Hyena Road. It's amazing how many memories I have in this area. In Kuhumas with buffalo kills repeatedly. When they had their cubs, when the cubs were little, they were always on this drainage line that's just down the slope from us, and they basically lived here. And we spent most of our time following this 2-track in. And what it goes to show, let me show you what repeated off-roading creates. It's necessary as a part of the whole experience. You've got to be able to take your guests in to see the animals when they are off-road. But look at this. Have a look at the road. You can actually see it so clearly. And there was a time when we were using this off-road track because they were just always here. We were using this so regularly that we knew exactly where every tree was, spiderweb was, because it's such a mission for us to get from that road to here. We had to, while we were live, while we were presenting, we had to have different things to talk about to distract you all while we made our way in. So we knew each and every cobweb here. Times have changed immensely since then. I have lost Rex completely, so we probably need to go and catch up with him. While we do that, let's go across to Steve, who has been far more successful than I have this morning and has managed to find some lions.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, sorry about that, folks. We have come back to the site of the kill that was originally in the road, and it's causing a bit of a roadblock, as you can see. And so here we go. And there's 2 youngsters that are still feeding on it. They have no worries about it being right on the road. We originally found 6 of them here, but you can see there's nothing much left. The one lioness we were with, we managed to find her. She was moving off away from the road. Sorry, there are vehicles. This is the road we're trying to get past to continue on our merry way, but this is the roadblock and traffic that we're having here on a Thursday morning. So not much we can do for the moment. Quite close to the gate, and so when something like this happens, well, it gets very, very busy. Look at that little paunch on that one. That one's definitely eaten its fair full. The one on the right, look at that belly. Sarah, it is fast food. Well, not fast enough though, it's been caught. But when you've got a number of lions lying in ambush, it's very hard to get away. And the prey is in abundance, so the lions are making absolutely everything of the time they're having at the moment. Spread out around the landscape, who knows where the rest of the pride are. That individual on the left can't even stand up, it's so full. And there goes the rangers moving through. So we're going to try sneak through next, because obviously this is quite awkward to being in a position on the road with lots of cars. But you can see the lions are not at all bothered by the vehicle. Does not mean that they're tame, folks. It just means habituated. They're quite used to seeing lots of cars, especially when they make kills on the road. It's almost what we could have seen the other night when I was with Archie, when in the rain, lioness almost got a wildebeest as they were running across the road. Ooh, that's mine. Sorry, I didn't hear Barbara's comment there, Emma. Yes, Barbara, they do have a plate of ribs, and now the one is enjoying the shade provided by the vehicle. That's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship, using the shade of the vehicle until it moves, which it no doubt will do soon. Always funny watching cubs feed. Look at that belly. Couldn't get any more in there, but it's going to try. Going to try, and I'm not going to share with my sister. It's all mine. So I think this was a wildebeest. There's nothing much of it left to be able to tell. There's only bones. I haven't seen a face or a leg. I don't know, just due to the fact that so many wildebeest are being taken this time of year. But it's really hard to say, everybody. There's, as you can see, that's all we've got to work with is stomach content on the other side there, which could be a ruminant by the way it's been processed, but really, really hard to say without more than just ribs. If there was a hoof or a head or a beard, then there's a good chance we'd be able to know whether it was a zebra or a wildebeest. But all we know is they are happy, they've had their fill, and they will be sustained until the next one. But as I said, there were only 6 individuals and then a 7th one here, and we found 1 lioness, so that's 8 out of 17. Where the rest of them are is very hard to know. But our spot is becoming available. We're going to be able to sneak on through and get past these lions in a moment. Obviously don't want to go too close to them. We're going to get photo bombed, I'm afraid, folks. Kathy, the sub-adults don't generally do any part of the hunting until about a year and a half. They're more cumbersome than anything else. They don't really have the stealth, but we are being leapfrogged here, folks, and terribly sorry. We need to get moving on past here so we can get out of the way. But year and a half, they can start actively hunting. 2 years, starting to be a little bit able to do so, but at this age and up to a year and a half, all they really do is they act as the sort of the flusher. They can run in and scare animals into the direction of the waiting adults. But other than that, they don't really have too much. Oh, we go. There's a horn off just above its head. You can see it's a wildebeest now. Okay, well, while we move out of this position, let's go down to Tristan and see if he's had any luck finding those mating leopards.
No, unfortunately not. It seems as though the tracks have crossed north into Buffelshoek, unfortunately, so we won't be able to follow any further, I'm afraid. But what looks like, I mean, the tracks have been driven over by a car, so they must have crossed here, must have moved here very quickly from, 4-ish, because there's very few cars that are around, unless it was the anti-poaching unit that was around at sort of 5:15, but we're normally the first vehicles out, and we get out at about 5:20, so I'm pretty surprised that those tracks have already been driven over. But anyway, it looks like they've gone north into Buffelshoek itself, and so there's not really much more we can actually do. We can only try and kind of figure it out and find something else. We might head back with those buffalo now and just go and hang out with them for a little bit, see what else is there. Well, who knows where we'll head. Maybe we'll try and kind of get some sort of sign of Hosanna, who I believe was also at the pan last night for quite some time. So between them we'll find something. We'll, somehow, some way, something will pop out. It's just frustrating that they went this direction, but it definitely confirms that it's not any of the females that we really know, because a Thandi or Shadulu, they wouldn't have gone north into Buffelshoek like that, and she seems to be walking in front with him kind of following. So I doubt that it's any of those females. They would have typically tried to have stayed in their sort of areas as much as possible. So Thandi would have been in the central parts, and Shadulu might have marched him a little bit more west than anything else. So I doubt it's them. I mean, 90% sure it's that skittish female, and probably that's half of the reason why we haven't found them. Is in all likelihood they might have heard vehicles, she might have trotted northwards, and he's just kind of keeping up with her as he goes. I'll tell you one thing though, if that is the case, Tingana is going to flop down at some point in a heap of tiredness, because there's not a cat that likes to trot very often, and he prefers to be a slow-paced walker than a trotter. So we'll see how that goes. But by the time we see Tingana again, he'll probably be half the size. He'll not have eaten and will be skinny. But I'm a bit sad that we didn't find them. It would have been good to have seen who exactly it was, and if it was that skittish female, it would have been nice just to kind of spend some time with her and try and see if we can just keep working and trying to relax her a little bit more and more and more. And eventually, she's spends enough time around cats like Tingana and on kills, and people try and work them. Well, she might just start to become at least viewable for one vehicle, if not, even better than that. It takes a bit of time, but we'll see. Now, there's nothing at Buffelshoek Dam because there's impalas all over the place, but we'll have a look at them now. Just having a little morning drink. No, don't move now. Stay there. Now, unfortunately, the blooming impalas have moved off. They've all just run off for some reason. So while we're trying to figure out what else we're going to do and where we can go and find something, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's still searching for lions.
Well, I think it's important that we do a perimeter patrol, if you will, just to have a look. So we're on one of the very bumpy boundary roads at the moment, and we're just going to go all the way along. There's old lion tracks coming in and out of Djuma, but I think from a while ago. I saw some wild dog tracks. They didn't look too fresh though. So I'm not sure where all the animals are, where they're hiding. I also haven't seen one other vehicle driving on this road. There's a slender mongoose. I cannot believe we've actually seen something on this road. I could die. This is amazing. I thought we were going to see nothing. Go, slender mongoose, go. Normally, you hardly see him. Here, the go-away bird has also spotted it. And it did that. To sort of show it that it was a bit displeased by seeing it. Right, off it goes. So we shall carry on. We're just going to keep checking all the way to Gari Gate. We'll check that section, and then we'll probably go up Voyatel Access and then start bobbing and weaving through the reserve. I'm also trying to avoid all the bumps, but it's a bit difficult. Okay, so it seems as though Steve has moved away from, I think he was still with the Olololo Pride. So let's go back to him and see what he's going to show you all next.
Yes, we've moved off. The traffic is just a bit busy there. So we're going to continue on, see what we can get to. Might go and have a look at some of the crossings, see what's going on today. Enormous herds of wildebeest bulking in and around these areas. So let's go and have a look, shall we? Maybe we'll be lucky. Last night, as I said, huge herds of wildebeest crossing the road in front of me. Really something special to see. So maybe we'll be lucky with the crossing today. They are all over the plains this morning. As always, I think the rain we received has just given the vegetation another little flush. So that might prevent them crossing. We did see an enormous herd, Archie and myself, on the other side of the river yesterday. Don't know when they went to cross, but the rain falling on that side would also have provided a nice flush, so maybe enough to entice them to cross over again. All we can do is keep vigilant and keep checking the crossings. Fortunately, with some technical issues yesterday, we weren't able to broadcast certain events, but we found a beautiful male lion close to one of the crossings. Chris, you'd like to go see some giant crocs? Yeah, we'll make our way there. We'll make our way there, go show you some giant crocodiles. Why not? Why not? And there's a vehicle right up behind me. Okay, you go. Speedy Gonzalez. Now the dust. Sorry, folks, to just slow down. The dust has returned from the rainfall. Makes it quite awkward, but it's okay. We'll get through. Beautiful day out in the Mara once again. It's taken us an hour and a half to get off of the road, off of the main road from camp. So that is what happens sometimes. I remember the one time with VM, we found Amber Eyes and one of the other Nkuhuma Pride females on a wildebeest right there by camp. So we spent the entire show there, like 200 meters from our door. Sometimes these things can happen. Thankfully, there was no traffic there. And the wildebeest, the zebras. Good morning. Okay. That's just a warthog. We're constantly looking for the zebras and all of that around here. And the way they're looking, some vultures in the tree, always a nice picturesque shot there. I thought I might have seen something under the tree, but it is, it's a lion. Well, I thought it was a warthog. There's two lions. There we go. Just past the zebra. Yeah, there we go. And just past the zebra, there are two lions, a little bit more right. A little bit more right. Just behind that zebra's back. I thought I saw a warthog's back. You see the way it's sitting in the grass like that, shiny like a warthog, but it is in fact, looks like two lioness, and the zebra are, well, they're not too bothered by them. They're having a look. But that is the reality of looking at how animals are behaving. I saw the zebra all looking in a direction, and sometimes warthogs can frighten animals. They can think, "Ooh, that's a lion moving through the long grass," as I thought it was a moment ago. But looking on closer inspection is in fact two lions eating something. Good. The morning is very exciting. All sorts going on. All sorts going on. Well, we'll try and reposition ourselves over here to get a nicer view. They're a little bit far off. Very interesting. Who are these now? Okay, well, we were going to go to Jamie there, but then the action just happened once more. Try and see what's going on. And you just see dirty faces. Lulu, thank you. Well, you know, it wasn't really me who did the spotting. I saw some zebra all looking, and then there was a whole lot of vultures up in the tree, and I thought, well, that's an interesting looking warthog. And then when I looked in my binoculars, the lion lifted its head and I saw ears, and well, to my surprise, we have more lions feeding. And what is amazing, how you can get zebra coming really, really close and watching and going, well, we can see you. As long as we can see you, you're not a threat. Whether it's one of their fallen comrades or not is hard to say. But that would be quite funny, or not quite a strange behavior, wouldn't it, if we were walking around and we watched lions eating one of our own and we just stood there watching going, okay, well, it's not us. Yeah, they are. Linda Gale, they've moved just out the way for us there so we can have a look. But it's really hard in this light to identify who they are or what they've even got. Just off the road by about 80 or so yards, meters. Time of aplenty for the large cats out here, folks. And what is that? That's 3 carcasses that we've come across in the space of half an hour. Quite incredible. Quite incredible. And it's possible that these could even be related to the other pride. They're not far away, but then the lion movements out here at the moment are really, really all over the place because they're just moving in relation to food. So territorial boundaries are often crossed as lions move through the landscape, feeding as they will. And there's a hyena up ahead with more carcasses on the ground. It's abounding with death. Okay, Bree, up in the tree there, James is going to show you. Just up in the tree, there's a couple vultures there. I can't actually tell you with 100% certainty who they are due to the light, but it looks like at least the one on the left is a one on the right is a white back. He's quite small, and then the one on the left is a Rupels, and one in the middle, well, I can't actually tell you, to be honest. He's he's quite small, but the light is not assisting in that. But it was because there's vultures everywhere at the moment. Everywhere we look, vultures are in the trees. They're not being very helpful with finding predators. There's lots of carcasses around, but this is the second time now that I've found lions with the help of vultures. But it was mainly, if you just look at the zebra to the right there, James, if you won't mind, it was mainly this large group of zebra that are all very interested in what's going on the left-hand side. And that is the reason why I stopped. I stopped because of the zebra and because of the vultures, and then seeing the shiny back of what I thought was a warthog on the ground captured my attention. That's why it's always important to double check what's going on out here. Anisha, lions will, if they're on their own, necessarily one or two lions will spend some time actually plucking the fur, but invariably when lions eat, there's so much competition and such a big desire for them to get as much of that meat in their belly as they can, that they just swallow it, all of it, bone, fur, everything at the same time. They don't have the benefit of taking their time generally like a leopard would. A leopard takes its time, a cheetah takes its time, they catch their breath. A cheetah obviously needs to feed quite quickly once it's caught its breath, but it'll always pluck a bit of fur to get into the nicest and best parts. And whereas leopard, well, they can take their time due to the fact that they invariably take it up a tree where they can feed it at their leisure. But they still get fur in because it's impossible to get it all out. Not easy to get it all out. Well, I was hoping at some stage during my time here to get large clans of hyena coming in and chasing off the lions, but it seems as if the lions are feeding there and there's other hyena feeding over there. We'll move up shortly and have a look, but in the meantime Tristan is abandoning his leopard search. Let's go see what his plans are going to be.
Well, unfortunately, our leopard search was forcible exit. It wasn't because we didn't want to carry on. It's just unfortunately that was the end of that, given that they went the wrong way. Anyway, we'll try and kind of see what else we can find. There's some ellies actually right here. There's also tracks for the buffalo going in this direction too, so maybe they're all milling about together. That would be quite nice if we could find them all together. I think these buffalo must be heading off for water somewhere, so either they're heading towards the dam cam or potentially maybe towards kind of like Treehouse Twin Dams area. But nice big herd of ellies here. It's going to be quite cool because we've got them up on the bank, and so we'll be able to sit with them. No, don't move now. Of course you will move. So now they all decided they're going to go behind a whole bunch of vegetation, but they are all kind of on top now. Why is Tax calling me? Let's check. Go ahead, Tax. Tax. Okay, copy is Kashanin. Okay, copy. Well, give me a shout if they turn back this way. So, just getting an update from Taxon. It sounds like Tingana, Hosanna, and that female are all together, not very far from where we last had the tracks, unfortunately for us, which is very, very, very frustrating in many respects. Apparently, they're about 200 meters north of where we were, and so they are all milling about there. It's interesting that Hosanna's there. I'm not surprised, actually, to be honest. I would have thought that they were going to kind of join up and he would follow, given he was at the pan. Anyway, it sounds like Bushwalk has found a beefy surprise, so let's send you across to them.
Several beefy surprises, but unfortunately beefy surprises have now decided to go wandering into some very dense vegetation. So we are near the buffalo herd that Tristan found earlier. There we go, they're just coming through. There's still some stragglers. I don't know exactly how big this herd is, but we've made our way to probably about 30 or so yards away. Buffalo herds are interesting because while you may not want to go and approach a buffalo bull or a herd of buffalo bulls on their own, when you get a breeding herd like this, a collection of males and females and youngsters, it's actually far safer to approach them on foot. They respond like any herd animal, so they feel safer in numbers, and they would rather run away from us than they would come towards us. Unfortunately, though, most of them have moved off now. The trick, of course, because the buffalo have a very sensitive sense of smell, is to try and creep round downwind of them. But I think this is going to be tricky, because it's not so much the lack of visibility in this dense vegetation, it's the noise that we make as we walk up to them. And ideally when we're on a bushwalk like this, particularly at this time of year, because there's actually very little for us to show you in terms of insect life. We've been over most of the trees, bushes, anything that's left we have gone over ad nauseum. So ideally what we like to do is try and show you some of the bigger animals on foot, because it's easier to do at this time of year. Once it rains and the bush becomes denser, it becomes much, much harder, because we have to get closer to the animals in order to get a good view. In this case, it didn't work out regardless. We haven't given up though. We're going to keep on creeping around, I think, see if we can find a way to get a nice open view of these buffalo. While we do, there is something even larger that is not terribly difficult to see when it's right next to you.
Well, Jamie, be safe. It's always, when there's a herd of buffalo, one's a little tricky to get one and kind of through those areas. So hopefully Jamie will be okay and those buffalo will leave her alone. But we are still with our Ellies. It's beautiful to kind of watch them because they're higher than us at the moment. So they're kind of sitting up on this ridge feeding. I'd imagine the Ellies are absolutely loving the weather that we keep having in the mornings. We keep having these kind of cooler, overcast, grayer mornings. And so it's like perfect conditions for these guys just to spread out and feed, even in the open sections. And they can kind of tuck into all that is around, particularly on the Mulwati. There's lots of nice things for them to eat. They're eating mostly guaris that I can see at the moment, but that doesn't mean that they will not kind of find somewhere else to be able to sort of feed, or other plants, should I say, to be able to feed. Now this big female should come down the hill. It looks like a lot of members of the herd that I saw yesterday drinking at Gallagher Pan, so I think it is the same grouping of Ellies that we saw yesterday. So I'm hoping she will come down. There's a nice little sort of slope that she can walk down. I'm maybe going to feed a bit first. You can see there's a little pathway where that leaf litter runs. So this path here is where she should follow. You can see there's Ellie tracks already going over, and there's some Ellies that are behind us at the moment. So she should come down that particular pathway. Here comes a whole bunch of others. Almost looks like she's fallen asleep in some respects. She's kind of holding her head with her eyes closed at the moment. Are you having a little nap? It looks like she might be having a nap. Are those eyes open? They look a bit heavy, don't they? And exactly, it does look like she's about to fall asleep. I wonder if she's maybe just waiting for me to move out the way. It looks like she's sleeping more than anything else. She was very relaxed earlier, and the thing is, the only reason why I think maybe she's waiting for me is if you have a look at her body posture. Now you'll notice that her head is slightly raised. Now normally if an elephant sleeps, their head is almost tucked into their chin and their trunk quite sort of floppy, but she's kind of holding her head quite stiff at the moment. So what I'm going to do is, I think maybe she's a bit nervous of where I'm parked. I'm going to actually just back off a little bit and see if that helps for her to be able to come down. She might just be waiting for me just to move a little bit and feel a little bit more safe in her kind of downward sort of approach. There we go. Let's see. So as soon as we moved, she moved, but also because the others at the back came running along the bank. But I'm pretty sure she was just waiting for us, which is interesting. At first I thought she might be sleeping, but that head held the way it was generally dictates that that animal is just kind of sitting and waiting, and it's almost as if to say, come on, I want to pass here, off you go. So that's why we try to move away. We've now opened it up enough probably for them all to kind of come past. They're a little bit jumpy. Even when we first arrived, they all kind of scattered off and then they've all relaxed again. So I don't know why they're a little bit jumpy. Maybe they're just not used to vehicles as much as they could be. I don't know. It's interesting. Lulu, some Ellies, not all little babies often lie down. It's just difficult for big animals like an elephant to wake up and pick their heads up and, you know, lift all that body weight. And so lying down for big adult females is generally very uncommon to see during the day. At night, you will find with a lot of the Ellies, the whole herd, in fact, sometimes will lie down together and they'll all kind of sleep. But it's not that common to see that, you know, during the day itself. So some will sleep standing up, some sleep sitting down or lying down. You'll find sometimes big bulls will lie down, but they'll try use big slopes, so a 45-degree slope of a bank or a termite mound or something like that. Very cool to see everybody kind of just milling about. Big herd this actually. I was just looking now, I can see some way up the drainage line as well. So they kind of all scattered about behind us and all along this bank as well. Right, now Steve has had massacres and might a macabre start to his day, and sounds like he's now got things that clean up all the macabreness. Absolute carnage on the African plain last night. Now we've got, we're not sure exactly who, what or how, but there's 2 hyena, a whole lot of vultures, and the jackal to the right, cleaning up what could be another lion kill, could be a hyena kill, and it's really hard to say. You can see the vultures are on the ground. There we go. What is that hyena's got? Trying to see exactly what it is that it's picked up. It's a wildebeest neck. The beard of the wildebeest with a head attached. Very good. Might try and drag that back to the den site. Potentially the North Clan that we have here. Oh, that's awesome. There's the power. Yeah, come bring it closer to us. Show us your prize. Come show us your prize. That is the design of the hyena. The sloping shoulders, the backward sloping back and legs lower down to be able to enable them to carry pretty large pieces of meat quite far at a steady pace. It's a bit heavy though, this one. There's a little youngster. Got a prize, going to take it back to his siblings. It's a bit heavy, a bit awkward to pick up. Probably a whole wildebeest skull in there. Not quite sure. Dead weight. He's trying to work on the technique. A big adult hyena knows exactly how to carry a carcass. This looks like it's learning. Bring you closer and closer to us. Hello. What have you got there? Taking some takeaways. Go and rest by the den site and then something to snack on later. Sounds like a plan. Dr. Rob indeed, taking home the groceries. Most kids, when they are quite young, always try and help mum or dad with the groceries, and it normally starts with the smallest of items, and then slowly but surely as we get older we start being able to carry more. I remember I used to have the ability that I wanted to basically carry the entire load my mom had brought from the boot in one go. That took quite a while for me to sort out. Ooh, we've got another hyena joining in from the right with a collar. Could that be Waffles coming in to investigate? She's got a very dirty face. It looks like it is. In my experience of Waffles, the collar. The jackal is taken off. She come to find out what can she scavenge from whatever this is. Awesome to see. Would have picked that up from quite some distance on the wind. Also followed the vultures in probably. Hyena are known to follow vulture activity, so a lion. I've seen many a lion looking at the sky and then moving in towards where the vultures are. This little youngster moving one step at a time behind us. He's going to disappear behind, but this individual, not quite sure what she's doing. Alyssa, I've never seen hyena deliberately keep it out of the stand. Oh, hang on, there's going to be some conflict here. This little youngster has moved its piece somewhere, and this other individual wants it. They drag it sometimes. If it's quite big and quite heavy, well, they'll drag it. I don't think they're too bothered by the sand. Leopard, when they drag meat, there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. But invariably, it's still got most of its skin attached. But hyena, well, they eat quite foul things, so I think a little bit of sand in their food doesn't make too much of a difference. That one's looking quite perplexed as we go back to Waffles over there, who seems to have arrived a bit too late. And now the squabbling vulture are being chased around by a jackal. Waffles moves back in to assert her dominance on what is probably the only remains left. But there's nothing too much there. She seems to just be sniffing around.
A hyena is able to put about 15-16 kilograms of meat in its belly. It's about 30 odd pounds, before then picking up as much as they can and carrying it back to the den site. They're not renowned for regurgitating their food to the youngsters like wild dog do, but they are known for bringing back prizes. Chunks of meat which they can drag a very far distance. There, just to the left of the vultures in the grass, are some hooded vultures. They are normally the most reliable vultures with regard to finding meat. Sorry, I didn't get what Courtney said there, Emma. The vulture's squabbling on the ground. There's a hooded on the left, Waffles in the middle. Oh, Courtney, we saw Waffles' cubs on Sunday and they looked perfectly fine. We haven't been back since Sunday. We might make a turn there today. James and I are going to be spending most of the day out today, so we're going to be bumbling along and seeing if we can catch any crossings. And we'll definitely go and pay a call to the hyena den site and see how everyone's going on over there. But I think everything should be fine. Waffles looks like she's got a bit of a limp, though. Didn't you see that, James? Definitely looked like a bit of a limp, competing with the jackal. She is far bigger than the jackal, and no chance, really, of the jackal of out-competing a large female hyena, as the vultures slowly start to descend on what is the remains behind there. Sometimes there's not much for them when hyena are around, but we've seen many vultures, and they find many of the carcasses long before hyena do, and, well, they are doing very, very well this time of year. You can see the size difference of the lappet-faced at the back, the white-headed, I think that's a Rupels in the middle, waiting for their turn. Oh, very good. We're going to move on and see what else unfolds for us out on the plain this morning, because it is absolutely cooking today. Well, we're going to go back down to Tristan. He's just one last look at his elephant. Indeed, we are with our Ellies. Unfortunately, they've walked right behind us now, so it's the aerials that you can see at the moment. They were I was hoping, just going to slow down a little bit so that we'd have them kind of walking right up towards us, but they didn't. They decided to move quite fast. You can see there's the rest of them coming over. Lots and lots and lots in this herd that are walking all over the place at the moment. Very cool to see. Easily negotiated banks, not like that one time with Jamie. This is a spot where Jamie had, well, you with Jamie that day, so yeah. That's right, where Jamie had an elephant that got stuck on the bank there and couldn't get down or up. Was it going up or down? Down, that's right. And couldn't get down, and there was much panic and kind of movement. What's interesting is these Ellies were very relaxed. They were all feeding, and all of a sudden everybody has just started moving now, and they're kind of just getting all together, and there's a bit of greeting happening. You can see that's how elephants greet each other. They put their trunks in each other's mouths and sniff each other and work out. See, there we go. Everybody's just having a little greeting session and working out who is who. But look how many Ellies are just piling out of everywhere at the moment. It seems as though there was some sort of communication by the matriarchal female to say, right, we need to get moving. We've got places to be, things to go and see. And so everybody is kind of bunched together now. It's actually difficult to see how many there really are. I'm going to move Seb a little bit so we can try and catch up with them. They look like they might be a little bit shy for some reason all of a sudden. Maybe there's a bit of a breeze that's picked up that they've worked out something is around. I don't know, but it's weird how they all just decided straight away that they need to move. And now it's just a big roadblock going down. Miranda, most definitely will Ellies get bothered by predators. They don't like predators at all. Things like lions are very dangerous to the young ones, and as Steve was discussing earlier in the sort of drive, is that there's a few Ellies that have no tails in the Mara, and that's generally due to the fact that there's a lot of hyenas around that go after the Ellies there and will pull off their tails when trying to anchor them down. And so Ellies really do not like
being kind of around predators. They absolutely despise wild dogs. Probably the one that they're most tolerant of is leopard. They'll generally just walk past a leopard, raise their head and open their ears out, but are not too stressed about them. But wild dogs, hyenas and lions seem to just drive elephants up the wall and make them quite sort of grumpy, and you'll find that they trumpet and chase them. And so yes, predators are something that will disturb them. If they pick up the scent of a predator, sometimes you will see movement like what we've just seen as they kind of rush around and try and kind of get out of the area. But generally when that happens, you'll find that the adult females will kind of all bunch up the little ones in amongst the herd, and there'll be a lot of communicating going on. And what we've got at the moment is, while that group did move quite quickly, there's still some ellies up on our right hand side, so not everyone is bunched together. If there was a predator around that had been noticed, there would have been a vocalization, and the whole group would have bunched into this tight ball with the females on the edges and all the young ones kind of packed in. And so these ellies on the right here, they don't seem as though they are too perturbed at all with what's going on. And I'm just going to try and kind of get one last view of these guys up top here. I want to try and head off to the pan because I believe the buffalo should theoretically be arriving at the dam camp pretty shortly. And it's always nice to watch the buffalo arrive because they arrive with lots of kind of vigor, and there's lots of dust and all kinds of other things. There goes our ellies. Right, now it sounds like actually that the buffalo are arriving already and Bushwalk is heading there, so we'll leave Bushwalk to it. I'm not going to go try drive around buffalo while Bushwalk is in the area because we don't really want to panic them in any way and chase the Bushwalk or the buffalo towards the Bushwalk. So we'll leave Jamie and Rex to go and view the buffalo at the dam itself. It might be very nice on foot. On that note, I believe I'm sending you across to them, who are busy watching the buffalo on the move.
They were moving so quickly, and the reason for their movement became very, very rapidly apparent. They're thirsty. They are so thirsty. They've basically been running in the direction of what is, at this point, the only real available water for a considerable distance. It's quite difficult to get here in time. We were racing them, and they were so thirsty they were moving really, really quickly. This is quite nice, Em, if we want to just do a short one, if we want to be joined by a slightly wider audience. Hello and welcome to a spectacular scene out here in the wilds of Africa. There's very few times in life where circumstances combine to the point that you can actually safely sit and watch a herd of buffalo as they come to drink. It is right in the middle of the dry season here in South Africa. We're actually in a place called the Greater Kruger in South Africa. And it is very, very dry here. There's very little water available to the animals. And that's just as we reach the end of October. Very soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, the rains will come. Now remember that you are watching this completely 100% live. We are out on foot with these buffalo. My name is Jamie, and because this is live, what that means is that you can send through your comments and your questions as well, if there's anything that you would like to know. Now, at some point, our position here, across the edge of a dry water hole, is probably going to be compromised, because the buffalo, once they've had their drink, will start to move away, possibly in this direction, at which point we'll probably move away from them. Lulu, at the water's edge, when times are so trying, wow, this is a big herd, they just keep coming. I didn't realize how many there were. Lulu, it's very much a show of push and shove and strength. So often the bulls will shove, or the males will shove the females out of the way. There's some calves I see in this herd who probably would struggle to find their way in. But never fear, they will rotate around the water hole. So they will actually, once they've had their drink, then they'll move away and the next buffalo can slot in. And essentially what that means is that we're going to be sitting here for a while. Now, buffalo are known as one of the most dangerous animals that we can encounter out here. They might look like cows, but they certainly don't behave like them. These are not domestic animals. These are 100% wild, and they can be dangerous, particularly when you're talking about males. I'm keeping a close eye on that one cow who's got her head up. She's looking in our direction. I think we have been spotted. But it's okay. We're still fine for now. There's plenty of open ground between us and them. Mary, I think there's probably about 200 or so. I'm not quite sure how many there are yet because they just keep arriving. There's a whole line of them walking across to the east of me. There's a great big group still moving along. I can see why they were moving as fast as they were. They were just so desperate for a drink. The rains will come. Erica, not in the way that we think of a true migration, which is a sort of a circular route in search of food, or a back and forth route in search of food, done mostly seasonally. But in a way, they will move with the rains and with the grass and with the seasons. There's certain areas that have better quality grass than others at different times of the year. If you go further north into the Kruger, you might find a buffalo there at certain times, usually around the dry season. And it's only recently that we've started seeing them moving back into this area as they wait for the rains. So it's not a true migration, but they do move around where water is concerned. Unfortunately, as humans, we've interfered so much with animals' natural migratory routes. Elephants at one point would have walked across the country in search of better food and water. Now that's something that they cannot do. This is beautiful. It's such a peaceful scene. We're going to sit here where it is nice and comfortable and safe, and watch the buffalo as they go about their morning drink. We thank you all for joining us. It's been fun sharing this with you, and we hope to catch you again soon. Stay tuned, because you never know what the African wilderness might send in our way. Awesome. So for the rest of you, while we sit here and decide which way to go and where to watch the buffalo, let's go across to Tristan, who has some elephants for you.
Well, we just had the most epic encounter with a mom and a baby elephant that came and stood not even, I would say, 30 centimeters from the front of the car, and the little baby was sniffing on the car, and mom was just kind of casually feeding right next to us. It really was quite special. Now, I'm pretty sure the old girl, which is the one next to us, who's a really big female, pretty sure she's going to head in our direction fairly shortly too. The rest of the herd has kind of moved on a little bit, and I'm sure she's going to kind of head this way as well. They were moving away from us, and all of a sudden they all just turned and came kind of straight towards the car, had a good little look around, and then decided we were all right and carried on. It really is quite something when Ellies approach that close. Now, just remember with elephants that you try not to ever cut them off on their routes that they're walking. It's never a good thing to do that. And the thing is with what happened here is that we parked behind a fallen over tree, which is right next to me. You'll see it just in front of that elephant's legs. And so they're supposed to theoretically have gone all the way around like this female has done. So kind of use this as a barrier, because elephants aren't going to really move that out the way. Now you'll see she should turn here and start coming around, and so that's why we haven't parked there. But for some reason, a lot of them came round the bush and then just came straight towards us for some kind of odd idea that they had, that they wanted to come and investigate her. But isn't she massive? She is a beautiful female. She's probably as big as you could ever imagine for a female elephant. She's got massive ears. Hello, girl. Can you imagine the things she's seen in life? She must have seen some incredible stuff. And she would probably be an old female. You can see her temples are sunken in. Her body is monstrous. So I would say that she's probably easily in her late 40s. And that would mean that she's roamed this area for 40 years. Can you imagine all the things that have happened in 40 years? Must be quite amazing. Now, you say there's movement in there? Yes, there is movement in there. Is that just her body moving, or is that maybe a little baby that's kicking around in there? It's difficult to say because she is moving. I think it's just the movement of her body. Yeah, it's just the movement of her body. She's probably be quite stretched, and her stomach walls will be quite stretched because of the amount of babies she's probably had. Yes, Carol, in her prime, I would agree. Now, I'm just going to go backwards, and we're going to try and get a different view of these guys, because they are going down into the Mulwati. So if we head straight back... let's see. So Anna Marie's, an elephant's sense of smell compared to big cats, I would say probably better, if not... Oh no, don't all rush across now. So they all went running across in 2 seconds as we kind of came along. Oh guys, you've ruined my plan here. I was supposed to get you all feeding nicely next to the car. Anyway, maybe they'll do it on the left side. But Anna-Marie, their sense of smell is very, very good. They, like I say, probably as good, if not better, than the big cats. They really are able to pick up incredible kind of smells. They've got a long trunk that's able to catch scent up low, up high, down low, everywhere basically. They're able to kind of work out what's going on. There you go, there's the kind of family grouping. Everyone's now crossed over. All the herds seem to have kind of come together now in this little area that they were feeding in. So everyone's crossed the Mulwati now and is together. But there's one little baby here that has the wrinkliest forehead, and I know that we used to have an elephant here called Benjamin Button that used to have the very wrinkly forehead, and there is one here that looks just like that, because its forehead is just a series of massive monstrous wrinkles everywhere, and that's one of them there. There's two in fact that actually are very wrinkled, so that's the one, and unfortunately they're not facing us, so we can't actually show you their wrinkles too well, but they have the most wrinkly foreheads ever, and it's really quite cute to kind of see them with these wrinkled foreheads. Yes, the Benjamin Button of elephants. Wonder where Benjamin Button is. Well, what are you chasing now? Is there a little bird there or something? Now, I'm hoping it's going to turn and come back to its mother at some point. No, it's decided it's going to go that way. It's big and brave now. It can go on its own accord behind the mount. Patty, at what age will Ellies have their first baby? Well, Ellies will start to mate already at 12 years old. Well, a female elephant will mate at 12 years old, so she theoretically should have her first baby between 14 and 15. That's generally when they start to have their first one, sometimes a little bit later than that. I mean a little bit earlier. There are, I think, cases of elephants as young as 12 even having babies before, but generally sort of 14, 15 is when they have their first one, and then every sort of 3.5 to 4 years you're going to get another one coming out, and they just don't stop until such time as they die, which is obviously a long, long time given how long they are lived. But very cool. Seb, we can try one more time to just see if we can get a little bit kind of ahead of where they are. There's another little game path that runs that they look like they walk, well, the rest of the herd is walking on, so if we maybe get there fairly soon, we might be able to. Our jigger is making the most horrible sound today. It's squeaking like there is something loose, or I don't know what it is, but it's pretty irritating when we're in reverse. Right, now we're going to try and just kind of catch up with these guys once again and see if we can get a nice view, and while we do that, Jamie's still sitting with her buffalo.
It's really nice, and I think I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity while we can. I know that buffalo have been scarce out on Djuma. As I mentioned earlier, they tend to move around depending upon where the best quality food is. But at this point, they've got very little choice but to come here in search of water. I've just been looking at this herd. I think 200 was a slight overestimate, maybe 150 or so. Although apparently, looking down from the dam camera's perspective, there is the pan has basically disappeared. It's just swimming in buffalo. Lola, you say, is it true that the buffalo are very bad-tempered when compared to hippopotamus. No, not really. I would say both are equally cantankerous. Hippo and buffalo. Herds like this, I mentioned earlier that they're much safer to approach on foot. I mean, everything's relative. You're always very cautious about the way in which you go about something like an approach like this. But they tend to respond like herd animals, and they tend to move away rather than towards a threat. Although many of you can attest to the fact that we've seen buffalo herds turn the tables on lions and chase them away. But big male buffalo, out on their own or in twos or threes, we refer to them as dugger boys. And they are known. They have a reputation for having a very bad temper. The thing about hippo and about buffalo is that, as a general rule, if they start charging towards you, they're not going to stop. If they really start running at you. Whereas elephants, lions, chances are they're going to stop, turn around and move away from you. But we never want to be in that position where we're facing down a warning charge. But buffalo tend to spend a lot of time in camp, as do hippo. Both hippo and buffalo, I think, have a slightly undeserved reputation, because they're both animals that spend a lot of time around rivers and water. And that, of course, is where people tend to be drawn towards as well, both in their living space and just when they're moving about through the bush. It's just nicer to walk near a river. I think that's also contributed to the statistics of their human interaction. No, Hayley, I'm afraid not. There are no signs of any lions tracking these. The mangy Mangeni males were here 2 days ago, and I saw their tracks going off to the north yesterday. So I mean, they could surprise me. They could be hiding somewhere in the bushes, but I don't think so. We haven't had any reports of lion tracks coming on to Djuma today. And Tristan and Taylor have done an astounding job of checking the boundaries this morning. They've been really, truly thorough, mainly because the leopards, we were searching for that leopard combination. That's so strange. That's Hassan is sitting with Tingana while he mates. It's very weird. Anyway. Okay, well, these buffalo are still enjoying a peaceful moment, so I'm going to milk this as much as possible and enjoy it while it lasts. Let's go back to Tristan, who is doing the same thing with his elephant herd.
Indeed, I am doing the same thing with Ellie's and having a wonderful morning with them. Lots of talking going on, thoroughly enjoying just sitting in amongst them and watching them go about their business. Now, this particular female, she struck gold, so she went digging. And you can see has got a very long root that she managed to find. And slowly but surely she worked that root, and eventually what came out was a whole bunch of tubers. And there must have been about 4 or 5 of them on that particular root. She's shoved them all in her mouth now, so I can't actually show you the tubers, and she's eaten them all. Are they delicious? She looks like she's happy. Now look, she's going to go back. I wonder if maybe inside there is something. She's going to push that other one out the way. No, you get out the way. I'm going to show you how we do this. And she's going to use her trunk to sniff around there and see what she can find, and then eventually if she can pick up where the root runs, she'll try and kind of just follow it and sniff until she can actually find where those tubers are. And you'll find a lot of blowing of dust trying to excavate out. Look at this, see all the dust that's kind of been blown out as she's digging about. And if she can't get her trunk into where she's looking for and grab the root itself, and there she goes, she's got the root now. Just trying to get a bit of a grip on it. If she can't get that root properly, then she's going to use her feet. There we go. So there come the feet. They're going to help her. And watch this now. Hopefully she's going to expose that root more. Blow the dust off quickly just to feel around. And then she's going to look. Let's see if she grabs the root. If she can grab the root. Nope. There's more digging. Still not deep enough yet. Use that toenail just to get in there. Still some more blowing. See another little trunk coming to investigate. This obviously is like the best chocolate in the world for an elephant, because there's definitely some curiosity. Now I'm hoping that we're going to see a root coming up at some point. She's definitely digging around, so that trunk has smelt something and wants to keep trying to find what she's looking for. Yes, we're now deeper into the bush. Let's see. Anisha, much stronger than you think. There is a lot of muscles inside there. It is in fact all muscle. Oh, you are going to get caught up in that root now. Shame that one was eating the root and Mom has just kicked it with her back legs away. Okay, yes. It was not my fault there's no more roots. It's your own fault. You were digging and you just didn't get deep enough. Now I'm being thrown. Well, he's going to throw around a root just to emphasize how big and strong she is. Okay. Yes, a sulk because there was no more roots left. That's what happens when you don't get your favorite chocolates, is that you end up getting quite sulky. But wasn't it amazing just to watch how she digs and uses her foot? Absolutely incredible. Ellies are so smart. It's amazing how they do this. The time before, she was fairly kind of productive is probably the word. She was able to find what she was really sort of searching for in that root system. And you can see that she tried to dig and there was just really no more roots that were kind of exposed enough for her to pull. There's one there that I thought she might go after, but maybe she smelt that there were no more tubers and just actually let them down, or left it alone and decided to move on. So we're going to try and just quickly catch up with them again. They're still kind of meandering through the thicket. The sun is starting to come out. It's starting to get hot. Right, now while I do that though, let's send you across to Taylor. No, she hasn't left the drive. She is still with us, and I wonder what she's been up to for most of the morning.
I've just been bumbling all day long. Now, since you last saw us, we've actually saw a honey badger. David spotted the honey badger. It was incredible. And then I got a quick glimpse of it, but it ran so fast into the thicket that we couldn't even get it on camera in time. But that was pretty cool, because I can't remember when I last saw a honey badger. I haven't got a clue when it was. Might have been those ones that Tristan spotted that one time on the open plains behind camp. I think that could have been it. So we haven't really had much luck. I went back to the herd of elephants that we had, but, you know, pesky critters wanting to eat all the time. We couldn't get to them. So if you remember when we had Tundi the other morning and we're following her around, the elephants are basically in that drainage line, and we don't offer it for Ellies. And they were just, some of them looked like they were sleeping, some of them looked like they were eating, so I didn't think they were going to come out anytime soon. Then we went past Galago Pan hoping that there'd be a few that already made it to the water, but that was not the case. So now I'm like, do I go back to the Valenites tree and that bush willow where all the birds were, because that seemed to be like the only action we had this morning. So I'm genuinely contemplating going back down there and just watching all the birds come through. So that might have to do for the rest of the morning. As David said, we've got 3 times 15 minutes left. Which was quite funny. Go squirrel. So there's a squirrel that was trying to run in front of the car. Yes, that is how you break up the workouts. Oh, Emma, are we working out today? I hope she says no. I hope she says no. Are you still sick? But you're sick though, Emma. Emma's actually not feeling well. There was something going around camp. We don't actually know what it was, but people were they weren't dying because that's very dramatic, but people were unwell. Oh, I don't know, I might have to just go for a run then. Anyways, so yeah, so we're just basically bumbling. I think Tristan's somewhere down here, so we're gonna go, I think we'll go straight down Twin Dams Road and then along the fire break back towards the great old Valenites tree to watch all the birds come down and feed on the bush willow and also the other tree. Right, off you go to Stevie's got a crocodile.
Well, honey badger, how special is that? Always nice to see honey badgers, our favorite animal. But Chris, we have found you a giant crocodile. There's more than one, I'm sure, but for the moment I can only see one. We are at Main Crossing on the Mara River. It's quite windy, so I'm sure a number of the crocs are actually in the water, submerged, to keep themselves relatively at a same sort of temperature. The wind can be quite cooling. And there's a nice family of hippo doing what they do best sometimes, just looking very lost standing on the side of the riverbank. For now, quite content that there's no animals crossing. And as soon as they do, it really does disturb the hippo's daily life. Painted wolf, that was a dragon indeed. Giant crocodiles lurking in the murky waters. It's only the one we can see. There's probably plenty hiding underneath the surface, sheltering from the wind. No way are we going swimming. Would you make it across, James? James reckons he'd make it across. Yeah, well, I think the first person's probably got more chance than the second person. First person just excites them, that we see with the 2 zebra crossings I've seen. The first zebra go across, all they do is churn up the water and get the crocodiles excited, and then coming up second, well, that is when you're in trouble. The stimulus, obviously, by the crashing and splashing of water, gets his crocodiles going. Barbara, there's a few herds in the distance, but at this crossing there are none at the moment. We are going to move over to the next crossing and then the next and see what we can see, but nothing materializing down towards this one. But on the way here, plenty of animals, and from the height on our way down we could see a lot of wildebeest on the other side of the river. When they got there, I don't know, but I'm sure at some time in the next few days we will be getting... Oh, there's a big crocodile, another big one, camouflage on the bank, almost didn't spot him. Well done, James. Very, very wet. It's been in the water for a long time. Steve, that's an interesting question. How do crocodiles see ahead with eyes on the side? Well, how do horses see in front and behind of them and below them? Most animals, in fact, have got eyes on the side of their head. Crocodiles, their eyes are perched right there on the top, so it gives them probably a good field of vision for where they need to be looking. I don't know exactly how far ahead they can see, to be honest with you. His eyes are closed. They're kind of semi-forward facing though. They're not necessarily on the side, and there's nothing in the way on the front to hide them. Alyssa, crocodiles will not be eaten by hippos. Hippos do often kill crocodiles that get a bit too close to their youngsters. But invariably they both have a bit of a sort of mutual respect and they stay away from each other. If a small hippo did happen to wander off, it would fall victim to a crocodile, but big mama hippo won't allow that to happen. And if a crocodile does get too close, well, with one sweep of her wide opened mouth, it will rip it in pieces. Crocodile's no chance for a hippopotamus. The average large female weighs 2 times that of a crocodile. So crocodiles just punching out of their weight category. That little youngster though, well, that could fall prey, but they're never too far away from the big mama, who not only provides protection but also sometimes, as you can see, some shade from the glaring African sun. Seemingly the water's a bit chilly today. They're all out in the sunshine. Often what happens if you get a lot of rain, the water can actually be a little bit colder if it's come from further upstream. Those hippo not too perturbed. Lying on the bottom, most of them looking like rocks. Blend in quite nicely with the landscape. You wouldn't try and jump across there thinking you're stepping on rocks when actually the hippo would move, and well, you know, that wouldn't be a very fun way to go, would it? There's a few crocodiles also in amongst the rocks there, waiting in anticipation for the herds that are surely to come soon. With crocodiles not needing to eat very much or very often, are extremely patient. So you can see who is going to be more patient today, us or the crocodile. But while we do so, let's go back down to Tristan and his elephant. Well, we are still with our Ellies, and it's still very much the same kind of thing as everybody's looking for snacks in their favorite places. So there's lots of kind of branches being broken and things being pulled up, and you know, lots of chewing going on at the moment, and everyone seems to be at their own little feeding spot. Also a bit of talking, as you may have heard there. I love that sound. That's my favorite sound when you're sitting with the Ellies, is this low grumble that they let out from time to time. It really is a special thing to hear. It kind of has this little rumble about it. Oh, there comes the one with the wrinkly forehead. Seb, you see him at the back there. There comes our little one with all, we should call it wrinkles. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Look how many wrinkles it has all over it. It's absolutely everywhere is this little wrinkled forehead. Yes, we're laughing at you. Even its body, even its little body is wrinkled. Exactly, it's like a little prune. So maybe we should call it wrinkles or prune, one of the two. But it is a very, very kind of funny looking little elephant, and it's quite big now. It shouldn't be that wrinkly at this age, but you know, sometimes you get them that get a little wrinkly for longer. Now it's not impressed that we're making fun of it, and so it's going after its mom and just trying to sit in amongst the herd. Lots and lots of talking though. Connie, indeed, there's a lot of skin to be grown into to stretch that out to make it less wrinkly. It obviously will eventually as the skull develops and gets larger and larger, so this little baby will get bigger and bigger and will stretch into it. I just want to try and just sneak forward there, Seb. Just hold on, because we've got a little bit of a poorer view of that one. Just don't want to chase the one that's closest to us. There we go, should come into line now, Seb. But they're very playful, these little baby Ellies. I always love watching them go about their business. They seem to always thrive on, hello, are you going to come say hello to us? No, we're going to go play with sticks. We're going to go smell everybody. Come say hello. Everyone wants to see you. No, instead it's going to smell everybody else and just work out where mom is. So I believe a lot of you are incapable of breathing because of the cuteness of this little elephant. It is the cutest little thing, isn't it? And there's another one. So there's two of them here that are like this. And they're seriously cute little things. And they kind of bound around all over the place. So now you're going to go say hello to everybody. You're quite cheeky. Trying to take branches out of others' mouths is not going to get you any favors within the herd. It's at least an older sibling. So older siblings typically can kind of get pushed around a little bit by the younger ones and be a bit more tolerant than the big Ellies. The big Ellies often are less tolerant of what goes on. Now, why are you hiding away? Little one? Seb, I'm going to put you in a better spot. Hold on. Let's just try and reposition Seb slightly so that we can at least keep a view of our little one, and hopefully it should work if I go around this little corner. So while I do this, let's send you back across to Jamie, who's still enjoying her morning with the buffaloes.
Not literally, fortunately. It would be a very, very bad idea to try and milk the buffaloes, particularly the male ones. They wouldn't enjoy that at all. So no, we're metaphorically milking the buffalo herd. And I've actually got something I want to ask you since we're here and I've been distracted. Nice to just sit still and look at the world around us. See if any of you can figure out what flower this is. I will be very impressed if you get it. It comes from a tree. It's a flower from a tree. And I will be very, very impressed if one of you can get that. Hashtag SafariLive is how you can send through those answers on Twitter, alternatively on the YouTube comments section. Just a beautiful little flower that's sitting here. It's about to blow away. Unfortunately, the petals, this is a somewhat limp and sad one. It has long since fallen off the tree. Anyway, see if you can guess that. It comes from a tree. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Probably going to leave these buffalo after this and wander on in the direction of home. Just been debating how, given that they're sort of between us and home. Pretty sure we can figure out a way around them. Sure. I'm very impressed, Carol. I mean, it's not an apple blossom, but you pretty much spot on. It's a blossom of an apple leaf tree. Which I'm so impressed that you got that in that sort of scenario. I mean, with so little to go on, I am beyond impressed. It is the flower of an apple leaf tree rather than an apple blossom. But you can see where the apple leaf tree got its name. It's one of the reasons that it's called an apple leaf, because its flowers do look similar to apple blossoms. There it is. It's up above me. It's a weird looking one, and it's got something in it, some bird. What is that? Is that a go-away bird? I think so. Okay, we're probably going to slowly meander on away from these buffalo, or around these buffalo. Let's go and join Taylor, who apparently has got the most magnificent birds around her.
We are, but unfortunately we don't have a bird party, and we've been sitting here for about 5 minutes now, just quietly waiting for another group of birds to fly on through. If you're not sure what a bird party is, it's basically a variety of different bird species that all move together in order to feed successfully. So they'll feed at different levels, flushing out, various types of prey. Now, obviously, if they're in the tree, I think most of them will be coming for nectar. That will be their main goal. I did see some yellow-fronted canaries, but now I can't see where they're bouncing around. So we're just kind of having a look. I haven't heard any chirpy. Well, there's been one bird that's calling that I have no idea what it is, but I haven't heard any sort of sign or heard any signs. That doesn't make any sense. But what I'm trying to say is that I haven't heard any other birds around here that sound like they're moving in this direction. So we might move on to this tree and try and check a few others. There's lots of wasps and things flying around, though. You can hear them going zzz, like helicopters. I don't know if they're spider hunting wasps, but I don't think that they'd be particularly interested in going up into the tops of the tree. Fine, birds. Bye. NM, no. Sunbirds cannot hover and move backwards like hummingbirds can. There's very few true hovering bird species in southern Africa. The black-shouldered kite is one of those birds. The pied kingfisher is another, and they're typically very, very good at hovering, whereas the other birds tend to use the wind to help them hover. So most birds can hover, but like I said, they'll need the wind to help them. But watching pied kingfishers and black-shouldered kites, maybe ask Steve if he can show you a black-shouldered kite hovering in the sky. It's hard to get though, but it's pretty epic when you get it right and you can see them. The manner was cool. They would hover right above us. Really awesome. I don't know if I think I maybe got a shot. I just didn't end up editing it of them fairly close and doing that. I'm trying to think who else hovers fairly well. One of the birds. I mean, the sunbirds seem to be able to do it temporarily, but they can't keep very still for a long period of time. Right. I don't know what other Balagnantes trees are flowering at the moment. They're not all flowering at the same time. I think that's obviously got to do with the nutrients in the soil. And we'll see if there's any boer beans that are perhaps flowering. We're also going to swing past Treehouse Dam just to have a little scratch around there to see if Hosanna maybe doesn't poke his head up. Right, off we go back to Tristan, who's had a whole lot of fun with the elephants, but it's time to move on.
Right, well, we have moved on and we found ourselves a little dwarf mongoose that is just sitting on a branch and is watching us. Now, Taylor, I'm pretty sure you haven't heard your radio, but Hosanna's on Buffelshoek, so going to Treehouse Dam to look for him is going to be futile, I'm afraid. So, as much as I think Taylor maybe thinks Hosanna's still around. And now Emma, unfortunately, is telling me, and that's maybe why Taylor hasn't heard. So, Emma, you need to tell Taylor. All good, no problem. So there we go, we've got a cute little dwarf mongoose. So it might not be Hosanna, but it is one of our carnivores, and you can see its little nose was going there, just sniffing about, and it's now decided that there's something of interest down below that is better than us, and is going to just kind of bounce around, a little digging action going on, trying to look for anything inside there. It's foraging time, sun is out, predators are hopefully fairly sleepy now, and so now it's time for the dwarf mongoose to come out and go looking for food. And look at how that nose is just so busy. They're always kind of sniffing about, and then they scratch with those long claws, and they'll try and kind of get whatever is under the ground, and they'll be looking for all kinds of little insects and grubs and things that are buried under the surface of the soil, and their nose will probably be able to indicate when they do find those kind of things. It's a very cool view of a dwarf mongoose. It's nice that we're almost eye level with it. What have you found? Maybe a little scorpion. Scorpions also are high up on the list, and they'll dig for them too. Looks like it might have found something in there. Yes, it found something. What was that? I didn't see what it was, but there's definitely something inside there that it's eating. What have you found, little mongoose? Come on. Show us your prize. No, not yet. Still digging about. I believe it's another cuteness overload. It is, aren't they, the cutest little things? I thoroughly enjoy dwarf mongoose. That looks tasty, doesn't it? The way it's eating looks very, very tasty. It's as though it's the best thing it's ever eaten. Very cool. Now there's one that's just let out a bit of an alarm call. That's why this one, look at it. You see how it's just bolted upright? Just to look around, to hear, to listen. Now everything's quiet. It will start going back to foraging around for food again. This is very cute. But unfortunately, I think we're going to lose sight of it if it goes too much deeper, but I'll try and keep it for as long as possible. There are some others that were around just now. Let's see. No, we're going to have a little sniff. Look at the little nose. Gillian, they're cute until they become a menace. Well, to be honest, dwarf mongoose, in all the years that I've lived in the bush, have never really become too much of a problem around camps. I mean, I'm sure there's places where they're a bit of a nightmare, but we don't have too many issues. They raid the bins every now and then, but aren't too bad, to be honest. It's not like the banded mongoose. Banded mongoose is a nightmare. They can cause absolute nonsense wherever they go, because they're a lot bigger and stronger than these guys. But I don't find them to be a nuisance, actually. I find them to be very, very cool. I suppose if you're a scorpion, they're a bit menacing, and you wouldn't want them around. But as for us, well, I think they're quite cute, and they generally are filling a good sort of role. Right, we're going to start heading off, see what else is around. While we do that, though, let's send you back across to Steve, who I believe is just standing by, hoping for a crossing.
Well, we're being patient here. We are at Dusty Crossing again. I was here yesterday with Archie, and there's a load of animals piled up waiting for someone to take the first plunge. We can't show you at the moment, but we had a look behind us, and just a little bit around the corner in the stream there is a crocodile with a wildebeest carcass, and something has just splashed. There's a huge crocodile just materializing on the right here, just to menace these crocodiles, menace these animals. He's suddenly feeling the energy pulsating towards this area, and that crocodile, well, you'll see in shot in a second, has just moved into prime position if anything does happen to take place here. They're being very tentative. This is a very popular crossing. James is going to pan out for you. Here is where it will take place, and in shot now, there it is. A giant dragon crocodile. Anisha, they are indeed. Topi, zebra, wildebeest. What else did we see? Well, we've got the crocodiles, of course. There was some impala further back. Buffalo on our way in. I haven't seen any of them take part in these crossings before, but It's the wildebeest en masse that are exciting. Our vehicles lined up on this side and on the other side in anticipation for what could be a magnificent spectacle. We've seen it with James last week. We saw a small zebra crossing, which was awesome, but I'm yet to see an enormous crossing of thousands of wildebeest. Today could be the day, but for the moment they are very edgy, very tentative to take the plunge. And I wonder what it is that finally triggers them, triggers the mind. We've got to get to the other side for some reason. I mean, I saw it last night with the wildebeest crossing the road. There's absolutely no reason for them to have crossed the road, but one by one, in their thousands, they followed each other. Yes, Rashni, that Topi has a serious identity crisis. I think it's just thirsty. It just wants to come down and have a drink. It's the only one I can see at the moment, lost in amongst the herds. They're probably quite enjoying the fact that there's thousands of wildebeest and zebra around, so the lions are not taking as much of an interest in them. Courtney, I'm sure they know there's danger, but for some reason they still feel the need to cross it. I mean, that individual you can see just on the right of the screen, it's probably his first season, whereas all the other wildebeest, the adults, they've done this a number of years already, again and again and again, crossing. For what exact purpose? And just to get to the other side. The herd mentality takes over and they all just leap and go with it. Yeah, some of the impala all the way at the back were just mingling in, but Topi, he's very interested. He's looking at that crocodile, I think. They seem to be one of the most alert of the animals out here. The Topi, seemingly summing up everything. Okay, well, we are going to stay right here. Who knows what could happen any moment, but in the meantime, Taylor's got some wonderful birds.
They've just escaped us, though. Where'd you go? Oh, they're still there. We've got 3 crested barbets singing a beautiful song. Listen. That's so epic. And that's a very common sound to hear out here in the Sabi sand. Just perfectly hiding behind that branch. Typical. There's the other one, also perfectly hiding behind the branch. For those of you who have never seen crested barbets, they're really pretty birds. Thank you. Thank you for showing yourself. Look at all that yellow, black, white and red. It's kind of like they've rolled around in a palette of paint, just all the different colors. Well done. Unfortunately, they didn't get the beautiful singing voice, though, but it's a nice enough call. Why are you not bouncing around on a jackalberry tree eating all the fruit? Or have you eaten it all already? Probably eaten it all already. Very cool. Right, we shall carry on. Thank you, birds. There is life out here. Okay, so the reason why I had no idea that Hosannas and Buffelshoek is because I've had my game drive radio off for about an hour. It's been absolutely magical. Beautiful. We haven't seen one other safari vehicle today. It's been like, it's so great. You may have not seen many animals, but definitely a highlight. And it just also goes to show, though, that in the Sabi sand you can indeed avoid the vehicles if you want to. But unfortunately there's no animals to go to on Djuma at the moment. They all seem to have gone north, but maybe they'll be back by this afternoon, or at least tomorrow morning. So we pop past Treehouse Dam, little Dacre just sprinting across the road. I don't think we'll get another view of it. We'll see now. Maybe. I'm pretty sure we see this little Dacre all the time, every time I drive up Shibamo Road. It does the same thing. It runs from out of the Gwari thicket and it crosses the road and then hides over there. I think most nights when I drive up this road, I think, honey badger. And then it's never a honey badger, it's always a Dacre. Bye-bye. Off it goes. Bounding away, as they usually do. But very exciting. I hope Steve manages to get that crossing. I want Emma, did he estimate how many wildebeest he thought was waiting on the edge of the banks? I do miss that. It's very cool to see. Oh, lots of zebras, not wildebeest. That's pretty cool. Man, that's one thing. A bit of a mixture of the two. So I remember this time last year, obviously the triangle is just absolutely filled with animals. It was so cool. And it's something like, you can't actually describe it to anybody. The feelings of being surrounded by so many animals, just everywhere you look, there's stripes or there's wildebeest, and the sounds, it's just, honestly, it's just so epic. Look, there's a steenbok. I'm going to stop here, just at that termite mound. So we're very far away, so hopefully it doesn't actually run. Here we go. It also did the same thing the Dacre did earlier. It crossed the road but then ran a whole lot further away. Not a young male, just an adult male. Staring at us, just using the freeze technique, hoping that we haven't spotted it. And it is going to be so hot today. It's also really humid. So I wonder if there's some rain forecasted for the week. Maybe we'll get a drizzle. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a downpour, to be honest. Wonderful. Well, it seems like Jamie's got a bit of a desert on her hand at the moment while on bushwalk. And I'm not sure what Emma meant by dealing with the dry sand, but let's go and find out.
Quarantine does look a little bit like a desert, to be honest. I mean, for a place that during the wet season is knee-high in grass and got all sorts of perennial plants, it does look a little barren. Very barren, actually. And it's going to get even harder over the next few months, well, next few days, because we're going into October now, which means that even though it's about 8:15 in the morning, it's hot already. Especially for those of us who've come back from the Mara and who are not as accustomed to the low felt heat anymore. Not that bad though, but it is warm, and I think it's going to be a blisteringly hot day. We've had a few days over about 42 degrees. I'm taking you to the apple leaf tree on Quarantine, the one that looks more like a normal apple leaf tree, so I can show you where the tree that flower came from. A couple of flowering trees actually. The knobthorns are flowering. Not the marulas. Weeping boerbeens are flowering. There's all sorts of things flowering. I can't remember the common names anymore. I haven't thought about those trees in a year and a half, and I've started to forget what they're called. Not forget, they're just not on the edge of my mind. Roomits, we've got the Wahlberg's eagles back already, although I hear devastating news that our returning pair may be one regular short. So the Wahlbergs are back. A lot of the other migratory bird species I think are going to be a little bit late, and they're going to be returning around November, December. So all of the different birds, whether it's raptors or otherwise, they're going to be returning late November, I think. Here we go. The apple leaf tree and its pretty flowers. And by the sounds of it, potentially a beehive somewhere in there. And the sunbirds will be loving these flowers. They don't smell like anything, unfortunately. At least that I can smell. Very pretty. So there you have it. The apple leaf tree. I'm still super impressed at the speed that was figured out. Let's go and back onto the banks of the Mara River and find out whether or not those wildebeest are keen to cross yet.
Yes, well, we're going to try get around onto the other side. The wildebeest all seem to be kind of moving to the left, not liking that crossing. Got a little bit crowded there, so we're moving around, see if maybe we can be lucky This other one is just here, so they all started moving into the thickets. We might be lucky to catch them that side. We had a brief visual of those crocodiles munching up a wildebeest, but well, it was at the end of the stage of that wildebeest's life, or the meat, should I say. We're going to try and get back to a spot where we've spent some time before. Seems to be quite a good area. Navigate the traffic. Everybody is going to the other one now. Oh, dust. Sorry, I'm trying to see. Good afternoon. Oh, more dust. Okay, so this could be the other winner over here, but I don't know what kind of view we're going to get. The redness in the dirt, some of the dirt comes from the iron, and it's iron oxidation. Happened a very long time ago when the atmosphere was a very different sorry, I'm trying to get through this dust. It is very hard to see. And the iron was a very different consistency, all iron oxide. There was iron in the atmosphere seeping through in the moisture, and that's led to some very red soils in certain places. Quite young soils, in fact. There's a pretty specific date to when that would have been. Oh, I don't know if we're going to get anything here. Anyway, we've moved to the other side to see if we can be lucky, and maybe we will be. There's the beautiful Mara River. And some individual walking around on the bank there, kind of strange. What do you think he's doing? Oh, there's some giant crocodiles in the river there. Well, we might be lucky by hanging around here, but it's possible that the other spot we're in was the better of the two. It's all about luck out here. We were in a good spot, and then it just got very crowded. Anyway, that's the way it works. You see some really big crocodiles on the bank, and there's a couple hippos in the water as well. But I don't think anything's going to happen here. The bank is quite steep. A very nice crossing point onto our left-hand side. That's where we saw the zebras last week. Okay, well, it sounds like Tristan is having some luck this morning. He's found some spots. We have indeed. So Tingana and the skittish female have crossed back. Hosana has stayed on the northern side, but Tingana is definitely here. So he's walking here, and just behind him is where the skittish female is. She's going to come out somewhere close to Tingana. I just want to give them some space and let her kind of rejoin and see if they will mate for us. I'm pretty sure that they're going to at some point in this general vicinity. He's kind of moving deeper into Djuma, which is fantastic news. As long as he doesn't drop into that drainage line, we should be okay. Now, she should pop up somewhere. The last time I saw her was pretty much where he is, kind of moving, or parallel with where he is, but down in the drainage line itself. The problem is he's now walking away from us to the point where we're not going to be able to see him, so we're going to have to kind of join with him again and just keep up with him a little bit. It's only us here, so it should be okay. I think she'll be alright. Let's just give it 2 seconds to see. No, he's still walking, so she must be walking. If he's walking, I'm pretty sure she's just walking parallel with him. Painted Wolf, yes, well, Tingy is, I'm sure, very tired. He's been a busy boy this morning, walked far more than he probably would have liked, and walked a lot since last night, and so that means that I'm not surprised. Now, he's lying down here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to position ourselves nicely and turn off and stay nice and quiet, and hopefully she should make an appearance. She didn't look too bad when we first arrived here and kind of saw them. She was just walking along. She wasn't kind of running away from us. So I'm hoping that if we just sit nice and sort of still, that she should theoretically pop out and come in back to Tingana. He's the sort of prize for her, and so I'm pretty sure
that's where she's going to want to come, is kind of towards where he is. So we'll just wait and see. He's kind of looking over his shoulder, so I'm pretty sure she's just lying somewhere here, or might just pop out towards him. But if we're just nice and quiet, I'm sure she will. We did see her briefly, like I say, kind of slinking about and walking, and she didn't look too unrelaxed. I've seen far worse leopards before. In fact, Tingana was worse than what she's behaving this morning when he first arrived. So hopefully she'll kind of relax. The key to this is just to try and spend some time kind of in the vicinity of Tingana and hope that his relaxed nature just rubs off on her a little bit, and that she realizes that we're not a threat to her, and that there she is. I can see her. She's way in the distance, Seb. She's coming slowly this way, so she's walking along and is hopefully going to come this side. So to the right of where Tingana is, kind of where there's that dead tree there. Do you see a dead tree there, Seb? That's kind of got a 45-degree angle. She's at the base of that dead tree with a 45-degree angle. No, back out a bit for me. No, more to your right. Way more to your right.
Oh, I see her.
Okay, you see her now. Yeah. So there she is. She's just sitting there, kind of, well, standing at the moment, and should hopefully start moving in our direction towards us. Shame, she's probably also been a bit nervous this morning, and by the sounds of it, a lot of cars went her way. Now, I'm glad that it's just us here, because if we're just nice and quiet, she should theoretically, like I say, just come straight towards where Tingana's lying, and they might even just mate right here, which will be absolutely beautiful for us, because we will be in hopefully a prime position to kind of see them doing it, and that will hopefully mean a nice clear view of this female. She's just coming in slowly. She's just checking the whole time that she's kind of coming, making sure that we're not a threat. There she comes. She's coming in. Come on, girl. Everything is okay. We're not going to hurt you, I promise. So we'll just see if she'll try and maybe just kind of come towards where he is. I would imagine. Noriko, well, she wouldn't be mating if she's pregnant, and she would be very bulgy around the belly. But look, there she comes. So she's not too bad. She's actually... There we go. See, now they're going to mate for us. Perfect. So that worked out just like we wanted to. So the thing is with her is this is how she's going to start relaxing, is the more we spend time with her like this, and we just let Tingana kind of dictate what goes on, and he's relaxed, and we don't follow them by crashing around too much, try and take the nicest, cleanest paths, we should be able to get really nice views of her. And I mean, that was spectacular. That's kind of 5 out of 5 view of that leopard. She didn't look that bad. I mean, she's a little bit slinky and a little bit kind of wary, but definitely not as bad as I thought she'd be. I thought she'd be kind of running away from us, but that drive to mate just goes to show you how much of the kind of instinct is to mate overrides any fear that they potentially have for us. So that was absolutely cool, and always nice to meet a new leopardess. So she's new for me. I've never seen her before. I've seen lots of photos of her and kind of looked at many pictures that Taylor took and various others to try and just kind of see if we knew her, but it's the first time I'm actually seeing her in real life. So that was very, very cool. Thoroughly happy with all of that. Now let's see. What we're going to try is just head in this direction and then see if he's going to lie down again. Right there, I can see them still walking. She's still walking alongside him, which is fine. Sky, age 8, how many spots does Tingana have? Sky, well, to be honest with you, I haven't counted, so I don't know how many spots are all over his body, and it would be very difficult to know because you'd have to kind of hold him down and then count from the tip of his tail all the way to the tip of his nose and everything in between, and that would be a lot of work, and probably he wouldn't let you do it. So I have absolutely no idea why or how many spots he has on his body at all. Now I'm just going to try and get one last view. I've got Tingana. She's just kind of moving off in the thickets alongside him, so she's using the cover of the bushes to go kind of alongside where he is. And so what we're going to do is just try and get around him a little bit, but they're heading back towards the dam, so maybe they're going to make another appearance on the dam cam, so be sure to kind of keep watching the dam cam today. Now he's laid down, so let's see if we sit with him. She might come out once more, and it'll be. So there he is, nicely kind of sitting. And we're just going to stop here and hope that he will kind of bring her in a little bit. But I think she's going to be a little shy now, so it'll take a while for her to start heading this way. Like I said, they are moving towards the dam cam, so hopefully you guys will be able to see them during the course of the day. But it's been a wonderful morning, lots and lots and lots of things all over the place between the Mara and the bushwalk and Taylor and myself, so it's been a really, really special day, and what a nice way to finish with these two beautiful cats as they go about their mating. Hopefully this afternoon they will still be around. So from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all this afternoon on our sunset safari.